I'm a winner till the day I die. I'm a winner till the day I die. I'm a winner till the day I die.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Molveno. We had the short track races already. This, however, is the big day. All roads have led to Molveno this year, and from me, Paul Groves, I'd like to welcome into the studio Doug Hall, who's the General Manager for Europe, Middle East and Africa. Doug, the sun's shining.
I am the happiest man in Molveno right now, along with around about 900 athletes who are very excited to see a little bit of warm weather. We've had some challenging conditions in the run up to this week. The course is nice and muddy, but we have an absolutely beautiful day here in the Trentino region of Italy, and I cannot wait to get this party started.
Yeah, and we actually said to the athletes yesterday, please don't go out on the course because we want to try and preserve it. We're going to preserve it because we've got the World Championships. Arthur Sarrier, Felix Folicier, Ruben Ruzafa, Jens-Emil Sloth-Nielsen and Bradley Weiss. These are the ones who potentially could be taking the top spots, Doug.
Exactly. Obviously, we have our top four athletes, our big favourites, but we have got that wild card, that unknown quantity of Bradley Weiss, fresh in from an amazing result a couple of weeks ago at the Ironman World Championships, two-time XTERRA World Champion, and is here to not mess it around.
With Solène Billouin, defending world champion, Alizé Patiez, Sandra Meyerhofer, Loanne Duvoisin, and Leslie Patterson.
Yeah, it's an absolutely stellar women's field. I think this is the most competitive women's XTERRA race we've ever seen, and it's going to be one hell of a battle out there.
Let's hear from the athletes.
So happy to be back in Molveno, and yes, this area is really great, a really beautiful lake, and yeah, the bike is so difficult, and the run too, and yeah, it's really a great seat, and with the mountain, it's really great area to make an XTERRA. Yeah, I have a great season, and yeah, I think I can make a great race. For my first time, I'm coming to the World Championships really in shape. And yeah, I think it can be great for me.
Yeah, if I do one step more this year, I'll be on the podium. But I'm also ready to take the 2 steps more and win this race. Last year it was a culmination of a great season for me, coming to an end. It's the same this year. I really look forward to cross the line because it's gonna be a big relief. But I'm also very determined to give it my all and go for the win. I think the men's field this year have been more even, which the level have definitely risen a bit, and everyone have just lived up to the World Cup hype. So yeah, we're ready to battle it out.
Do you know, this weekend is about enjoying the experience. As I've matured as a racer, it really is about everything that goes around the race, not just the race itself. In the past, I was so intense about the race, I couldn't really enjoy everything around it. I've got my dad coming out from Scotland, so we're going to have some fun together. We've got a lot of Braveheart athletes, so I want to share that with them. And I just want to feel good, you know, I want to push to the limit and see where that takes me. I'm hoping it will get me a podium spot, but I'm also not unrealistic. The girls are really quick and really strong. So yeah, we'll just have to see how it plays out. I'm lucky enough to have won 3 world titles, but I keep coming back because I love the community, the people, I love the trails, I love pushing myself in different ways at different ages in my life, and just appreciating the experience. I'm really lucky to be able to still do this. I'm fit, I'm healthy, I'm not in pain.
After my crash, it forced me to take some time off, but maybe it's for my advantage. I hope so, that I had to take some weeks easy, and then afterwards I trained a lot, so maybe it works out this way as well. After my crash and after my recovery, I really focused on this race, trained a lot, and I really tried to give my best here. Last year I was not so lucky with my health here, so I really have a goal in mind and really try to push myself at the far edge and to try to be really, really in shape and good here.
Well, that's great to hear from the athletes. But now we're going to have some images for you. And I think, Doug, these images speak for themselves.
Molveno is one of the most beautiful places in the world, and if you're into any kind of outdoor activity, be it swimming, cycling, running, rock climbing, walking, hiking, Molveno is an absolute paradise.
There's something for everybody here, isn't there?
Absolutely. You know, it's the culture, the town, you know, the people here in Italy are the most warm, welcoming folk we've ever had as well, and I really, really cannot wait to see how this region treats our athletes today.
Yep, so Molveno and Andalo is the next village up. The two villages are worked, or towns are worked very hard together to give the very best welcome to our athletes, who are spread over the two locations. Loads and loads of hotels, because we're pretty much at the end of the season, and by coming here, the senior representative from the tourism department here, he said this is the biggest event that this region sees each year.
Yeah, absolutely huge. So we've got a few little stats here. So we got an air temperature, of 14 degrees this morning. A little bit chilly this morning, but as the sun gets up on the top of those Dolomites, it will warm up a little bit. But I don't think it will affect too much of the racing conditions today. Last year we had a few people electing to put a few jackets on. I don't think we'll see that as much today. I think despite the weather, we have almost perfect racing conditions.
These images are a little bit dark, but it is in fact quite a bright thing. Now, okay, the swim course. It looks like a large M the other way around. We start at the top right-hand side, we swim out, come back onto the beach, and then loop around. Now, this has changed a little bit. We've got a slightly longer section of the swim. We'll come back to the swim in just a minute.
So we have 2 laps of a 16-kilometre bike course. Weaves its way up the village towards the village of Andalo before climbing up to the very top point of the course, before descending through the Molveno bike park. An amazing trail down through there. Last a little bit through town and back to transition, where you will turn for your second lap or head out onto our run course.
And the run course takes you that way. And there's some sections that are really very, very tough, aren't they?
Yes, very technical, difficult sections, very, very steep alongside the side of the lake before climbing up to the very top of the course, and then a flat, fast final 1K down to the finish line.
Yeah, the run course, okay, it's 10K, and the images we were able to bring to you last year showed you what the course is like. We'll come back and describe the course in more detail. These are the
we have our current World Cup rankings. Like I said, it's the important thing. Almost for the top 3 athletes here in contention for the win, these points mean nothing. They are so close, and with so many points available for the World Championships, it is winner takes all. There is an opportunity for Arthur Serrières, Felix Frizier, Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen to become the champ. And we're looking at the women's rankings as well, and it's a very, very similar story here. These top 3 athletes are all capable, if everything goes their way today, of winning the inaugural XTERRA World Cup. I think everyone will need a little bit of luck on their side, I think, today. But, you know, you make your own luck through good training, good preparation, and a positive mindset today.
Now we can see there that Sandra Meyerhofer we'd normally expect to see her a lot higher up, but she had that terrible crash in the Czech Republic.
You can see an eagle on screen, Paul.
Yep. Well,
it's been stood there for a little while now. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Someone needs to go check on it, perhaps.
All around the village, there's these wonderful carvings of the wood. Let's go back to the swim course. The swim course, the first leg is a nice long leg to give the athletes the opportunity to get in the right position to attack the first of the turns.
So here we go, we're looking at our start list for today. So we have our reigning world champion, Arthur Serrières. He's wearing bib number 45 today. We've given the women the pleasure of the low numbers. Some athletes to look out for, obviously Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen won last weekend. We've got Bradley Weiss, who you know, could be a really, really good underdog. We're probably looking at Sullivan Midder, again, America's best hope to try and break the European domination. We'll be looking for Jens Roth from Germany, who will probably be our early swim leader today. But like I said, we have a full field of, I think we're almost at sort of 60, 70 elite men, the best elite men in the world.
And it's good to see that it's not just European domination. We've got athletes from South Africa, we've got from States, Canada, New Zealand and Australia. So it's a complete world championship.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, we've got athletes from all corners of the globe. I've just seen Kiwi athletes, Sam Osborne and Jack Moody. I know those guys, we haven't seen them that much on the circuit this year. Jack Moody especially, won XTERRA race this year, beating Sam Osborne in his backyard in Rotorua. So look out for those guys. So ladies start list, obviously Solène Boulon, our reigning world champion, wears number 1. Sandra Meerhofer, Lisa Patiez, these guys are all in contention for a big win today. We obviously Luan Dubuisson there is ranked or wearing bib number 14. She didn't have the best race last year, but she has proved time and time again this season that she is here for the championship. Maeve Kennedy will probably look to push on early in the swim and take a little bit of a lead into the first part of the bike. And Deirdre Dridgex, wearing number 36, second in the short track on Thursday. She'll be looking to try and convert some of that momentum into a good result today.
I'd watch out for her. The performance she put in Nokke Heist very recently, where she had there was a bit of a crash on the this is 70.3, but she then popped in the fastest run. We saw her day before yesterday, an okay swim. On the bike she was very strong. On the run she held it together, and in only her second short track she took away a silver medal.
Exactly, there were some question marks over her. You know, we obviously know she has a serious set in heart and lungs and ability to suffer, but could she do it off-road? And I think she's proved on Thursday that she has the minerals. So I'm pretty excited to see how she handles herself today.
In the swim though, we're looking at probably Emma de Creux from France, who is so incredibly powerful in the water, and Maeve Kennedy. The two of them really mixed it and matched for the short course.
Yeah, no, and I expect to see another couple of athletes look to maybe step their performance up from Thursday. We've got Sam Kingsford as well, who I would expect to be somewhere towards the front. Sandra Meerhofer as well has been swimming really well all season.
Arthur.
Yeah, we've just got Arthur Serriez.
So we're introducing the men. They'll be brought out onto the carpet. So the swim is a 1,500 metre swim as they leave the blue carpet. Beach start, head out towards the first buoy, turn with the buoy on their right. They then come back onto the shore. That's Jens Nielsen there.
Jens Emil here needs a big swim. We've got Kieran McPherson just behind him.
So this is going to be a bit of a challenge for us. We've just seen that there's no numbers on the hats, so we'll have to...
We
we'll
can
do our
cope
best.
with it, Paul. We'll be fine. I say we know Jens Emil. He looks like he's being attacked by a shark when he swims. He's not got the greatest technique.
Well, we say that, but Jens Emil, he's the very first athlete to admit that swimming is not his strength. But the work he's put in this year has shown tremendous improvements. Now, whether it's because he's associating with somebody who swims better than he does, and I'm pretty sure she's benefiting from his biking and running. But what we saw yesterday from Jens Emil was a fairly steady swim, but then the typical Jens Emil attack on the bike. He just carved through the field.
Yeah.
And then what was really surprising was he held it on the run. And that attack we saw right at the end. For those of you who want to see what happened with the short track, go onto the XTERRA live page. You'll find, if you just put XTERRA short track in, all of the races we've had this year are all available to you. There's no paywall, you can just watch them. And it was quite an exciting finish in the short track with the two of them battling so hard together, they actually forgot which way they should turn.
Yeah, that lack of oxygen will do that to you. But no, I think, you know, like this is going to be a hugely competitive event. We've got a lot of athletes on the start line. So, Paul, I'm going to put it to you now. I want you to pick your winner.
Oh my goodness! I think Arthur is going to have to work extremely hard to keep Jens Emil away from wearing the crown.
So you're going Arthur Serrier.
I think
You're
Arthur
going for
and Jens Emil.
No, you need to pick one.
Oh dear.
We should put a round of cappuccinos on it. Is that?
No, you can't have cappuccino after midday
Oh,
here. Don't
true.
you get shot. So
Moretti, then
I will say Jens Emil.
Okay, I'm going with Felix Faricio. That guy's been on fire all year. And as long as he doesn't put a foot wrong here today.
Okay, so Felix, who unfortunately his brother Arthur is unable to race, having broken his collarbone. I know that Arthur is providing the French language commentary at the moment, so
There we go.
big shout out to Arthur, who would have been here. And
So it looks like we are moments away from the start. Athletes look like they are ready to go. We are under starters' orders. So just about to get away here at the XTERRA World Championships
And off they go.
2023 are underway.
as you can see, it's wetsuit swim. The air temperature pretty nippy. The water temperature hasn't dropped an awful lot. It was 18 and a half a couple of days ago. With the heavy rain we had all day yesterday, it won't have changed the temperature that much. We've got sunshine coming down now, so that's going to definitely be of a benefit to the athletes. Now, on the left, I think that is Jens Emil. Nice long strokes from him.
I mean Jens Roth.
Sorry, Jens Roth. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
it's
Michele
Jens of some kind.
Bonacina from Italy will certainly be looking to edge into that position
So
at the front.
here come our elite women, just lining up, ready to get their race underway. They'll be starting 1 minute after the men.
Yes, that's going to be a quick turnaround on the beach. So Jens Roth, Michele Bonacina, Jules Dumas from France, Federico Spinazzi, the Silka ultralight athlete from
Yeah, in
Venice,
fact,
yeah.
I can recognise the swimming styles of all three of them. You have Jens
How about
Roth.
Keller? You got Keller Norland? in
Yeah,
there?
so Kellen Norland is just moving into the lead over on the far right-hand side. Michele Bonacina is just settling in
And where's
onto his feet.
Francois V from Portugal,
Francois will be in there somewhere.
and the women are off.
There we go. So our ladies are underway on probably the most competitive off-road triathlon ever, I think.
I think that was a good comment from Leslie. She was saying how the girls, the ladies, the women, have really upped the performances. And she's coming here. She's got nothing to prove. 3 times world champion. She won the American Championships not so long ago and comes here. This is only going to be, I think, her second XTERRA race of the year. But she said that the level has risen so much. And in a way, that's got to be down to the XTERRA decision to have a World Cup series.
Well, I think naturally as the sport develops and the sports grow, you know, this is what happens. The sport gets more professional, the level goes up, and, you know, a rising tide carries all ships, you know.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's a huge compliment from Leslie as well. You know, arguably one of the greatest XTERRA off-road athletes ever. And I think that's you know, a huge compliment from Leslie to, you know, about the standard of these ladies.
Okay, you put me on the spot, I'll put you on the spot. Who do you think is going to take the title for the women?
Yeah, this is a good point. You are now putting me on the spot. The nice thing is that, you know, 5, 6, 7 years ago, it was easy.
Yes.
Now there are probably 10 athletes who could finish on the podium and 3 athletes who could win. I am going to go with the local hero, Sandra Meerhofer.
I think that's a good one because the crash that she had took her out of competition for an enforced few weeks. The scars are still quite visible, but she's coming here. She says she feels better. She says she's rested, and she has a family here, and it's her back garden, effectively.
Yeah, for me, I think, you know, from what I understand, those wounds, although they looked horrific, she looked like she'd been in the octagon at the end of the Czech Republic race. A lot of it was superficial. So hopefully she's going to, you know, like I said, carry that rest and have that fire in the belly to right that wrong from that accident in Czech.
So just to put some clarification there, on the bike course in the Czech Republic, it's a point-to-point ride, and within 8k she'd crashed, smashed her bike, the brakes, and she had a very severe wound to the back and to her leg, but she nevertheless carried on, and I think she finished 4th in the end, which was
So
remarkable.
sorry to jump in there, Paul.
So this is going to be?
We have Emma Ducret, the mermaid, the
Yep.
French mermaid, followed by Maeve Kennedy.
Maeve
in
Kennedy
second
just
place.
behind. Who's the third place swimmer though?
It could be one of many. We've got so many athletes. Like I said, without the numbers on the hats, we're going to struggle to identify them until that Australian exit. But you can see there's a big separation. There's 2 groups. There's a group over on that right-hand side, Everyone looking to try and jump onto Emma de Croix's feet, along with Maeve Kennedy. And then there's a group heading off onto that far left-hand side. So there's obviously a choice to be made depending on what side of that line you start. If you're going to take a wide line and then cut into that buoy, or you know, there's, you know, I can see some flags floating around, so there is some wind around, but I don't know if that's enough to influence the swim. But
yeah, the wind is in fact blowing them back onto the beach.
here we go. So we got a shot of our leading group of men. So it's 100% Jens Roth on the front of that swim. I recognise that style. I've been on the receiving end of many of a swim split where Jens has absolutely lit it up. But yeah, it looks like Michele Bonacina of Italy is on his feet.
Now, Michele last year, he was leading the swim when he got onto the pontoon and then slipped, and he hit the deck fairly hard. So I'm sure he'd be a little bit cautious. He would have been out practicing that run along the wooden pontoon.
Yeah, though, you know, it's you know, it's part of the game. The Australian exit is amazing for the show. It allows us and the audience to kind of see where people are in the middle of the race, but it does come with its small hazards. Where
It's also quite disruptive. Suddenly your body's been told, right, you're going to be horizontal, work the arms, work the shoulders, work the legs, and then all of a sudden we're going to stand up and we're going to run for a bit and then get back in the water. So it's quite disruptive. But no disruption there at all. Jens Roth looking very comfortable.
wow, look at that image, Paul. You can see the XTERRA event village and the short track course that we raced on Thursday in the foreground. Wow, that's a shot.
That short track course is not, we're not finished with that, because tomorrow we're going to have the age groupers doing the mixed relay on that short track course, which I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, I honestly don't know where they're going to find the energy from. Maybe they'll, like I said, they'll get some good calories at the closing ceremony. And
well, that was quite something a couple of days ago. The opening ceremony, the food, and the way that hall was dressed, it was magnificent.
here we go. So I'm just trying to pick out some of these
So-
athletes that I would expect. And I'm going to take a very educated guess, and I think this is Sandra Mehrhofer sitting in 4th place, just on the edge. We'll obviously get confirmation at the end of that first lap, but I know she was swimming exceptionally well. And yeah, you know, it wouldn't surprise me to see her sneak out the water with a little early lead.
She has been coming out of the water in the first 5. Or
Okay,
in the
so
top half.
actually, I'm seeing Sam Osborne sitting in 2nd place. I recognise the face. You see when he just lifts
Yep.
his head up just to sight. This swim is on, though. You can see these guys are fighting for those feet. Yeah, so in fact we have Jens Roth leading. We have Sam Osborne is actually in 2nd place. Like you said, I'd expect to see Kelly Nall and Michele Bonacina around there somewhere. But
And Spinazzi.
But like I said, the sheer numbers of athletes that we have racing today means that normally in XTERRA, you know, when you have a slightly smaller field, we're more likely to see gaps between swim groups.
But
however, with
this is
this
the
volume
World
of athletes,
Championships.
we've got plenty of athletes to fill those gaps. So I'm expecting to basically see 1 or maybe 2
Well,
large packs for both the men and the women.
look at that. The women started 1 minute behind the men, but already the lead women, Maeve Kennedy and Emma de Croix, Australia and France, appear to be catching some of the elite men.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if it's maybe a little bit of an optical illusion, but
There's less than a minute there.
there is, well, I'm just looking at the kind of the swim speed relative to the boys. Obviously, you know, this is a bit of a guess with the drone shot, but I think the wind is actually playing a little bit of a part here. You can see how they're starting to fan out, kind of left to right. They're looking to try and to get onto the hip to try and find a little bit of shelter. So I think there's a little bit of current pushing them in that direction of left to right. So
When we first got here, the lake was absolutely dead flat. And yesterday it was quite choppy out there, but all day yesterday, because the athletes were advised not to go out on the bike course because they want to protect the course. The organisers want to make sure that the course is as packed and okay for everybody. So they said keep off the bike course. The amount of people who were out swimming all day yesterday, rain, showers, wind, they just carried on swimming.
that's the thing about water, it's wet. So regardless of whether it's
Yeah.
falling from the sky or it's collected in the basin here in Molveno, it's quite good. And the nice thing is, you know, we had a lot of rain yesterday, but the air temperature wasn't too bad.
No, not at all. And the out on the bike course, I know some of the age group athletes were a little bit concerned about it being a mud fest, and it will be muddy. but the course design has packed down quite a lot of the muddy areas. There's a lot of stone up there, and the drainage is very efficient.
Yeah, we're still expecting a fair race. It's going to be very slippery. I'm looking forward to seeing how these guys deal with those conditions out there.
Well, Jens Emil was giving some top advice yesterday in the press conference, saying he was going to go for a really chunky tyre on the back and a standard tyre on the front.
Yeah, I mean, we could do an entire live stream about tyre choice for racing. But yeah, I mean, like I said, Jens and all of these elite guys, they have some serious skill. So they could probably go on a set of slick tyres on a unicycle and still beat us mere mortals, Paul.
Well, you said that you were following Jens Emil down one of the sections. Was it yesterday?
Yeah, I went out and I tried to do some little insider info for us on the on this descent and see who had the who had the skills. But it looks like our front group are just approaching this Australian exit. So
let's see if we can get the splits as they come out.
We will be having some splits.
We have some timing.
So we've got a huge group here, so we're going to struggle to see everybody as they come through. But here we go, you can see this full group of women, they all want to take the swim on. They're all swimming side by side. Nobody wants to sit on the feet. Everybody wants to push the pace on.
And they've taken the first of the elite men.
Here we go, so Jens Roth will lead into the Australian exit at the end of lap 1 of the swim. As expected, like Jens is a quality athlete, but I think he realises that he has to play to his strengths now.
Yes.
So he needs to put some time into everybody on the water to kind of get as far up that hill on the bike course as he can before that main group of favourites actually come and catch him. But Jens is a super nice guy, an amazing ambassador for XTERRA in Germany. He's been doing it an awful long time, and he's a very popular character.
And there he is, out of the water against Samuel.
So yeah, Sam Osborne in second place, Jules Demat in third. And I think that is Keller Norland and Michele Bonacina. There we go. I called it right. And Peter Smut from the Czech Republic also in that group. Although I didn't see a 6th athlete, so I'm wondering if there's a little chip issue. Here we go. Bradley Weiss is out in 6th. That looks like Francois V. Just trying to look out for after Serriere goes through.
Jack Moody as well. Bart Kooijmans, Felix Forisi. There you go. And Lucas Kocha.
Here we go. Edmund Roy out there as well. Arthur Serriere, Spinazzi, Sullivan Midar is out.
Well, that's a good position for him.
Sebastian Neef. Like I said, these guys, at this point in the race, this time gap doesn't mean anything. No. Like I said, a handful of seconds here in the swim. And that's Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen going through there.
Now that's a good performance from him. He's not that far off, is he?
Actually, sorry, that was not Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen.
No.
That was the Italian Matteo Sefaglila. So we're still looking for that Danish flag. He's wearing a blue wetsuit. So there we go. So, like I said, we are starting to see some groups split up now. So
Scott Anderson there, good swim from him.
Here we go. So we're getting some replays of this. We're trying to pick out some athletes. So, somebody hitting the deck already. Oh, it's actually Ruben Ruzasa. So our 2-time XTERRA World Champion. Or it could be even 3-time XTERRA World Champion.
Well,
he's won so many, I struggle to keep up. The guy is called the boss for a reason.
Well, that's because of the biking. You said that there are 3 men who could probably take the overall title, but with Ruben having the broken wheel in Germany and then flying across to the States to race was it Beaver Creek, and then to get onto the podium, that boosted his points significantly. So if he has a good race today, that could actually see him in a very good position, possibly even taking the title again.
Here we go. So I have a split for Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen. He was out after that first lap of the swim in 12:47. So, like I said, he's
compared to.
Hang on. Let's see, once I've turned 30, I struggle to work a computer. So.
Well, we have our lead women now, not very far from the swim exit, and they've overtaken quite a few of the men. 5 women there. Yes, so Emma de Creux, France. Maeve Kennedy, Australia. Sandra Meyerhofer, Italy. Who are the other 2? I wonder.
So I'm hoping it's Sandra Meyerhofer after I called her out as my favourite for the race. But we'll have a little look. Guys, Sam Kingsford is in there. Maeve Kennedy, Amanda Presgraves,
Oh, well
there we go,
done.
and Anna Zinder, so our Swiss superstar from the short track. So there we go. That is a very, very strong front swim group. Emma de Croix will obviously want to push on. We know that she's still finding her feet in XTERRA.
No Sandra Meyerhofer there.
No, so I called it wrong. That's that. So the swim style I was recognising was Anna Zinder.
I think you misrecognised it.
Yes, misrecognised it. I mean, maybe that's a compliment to get mistaken for Sandra Meyerhofer. That's.
Let's see if we can get, if you can go to the splits and see if we can pull up that data.
We'll have a good look. Here we go. So Jens Emil Sloth Nielsen was a minute 24 off the front of the race, but most importantly.
And the women are coming out now. Well.
Yeah,
up
there we go.
on some
So.
of
Okay, let's try and pick out some names. So we have.
Is that solid?
There we go. Karina Wiles was just coming out. They said that front group of women are just getting mixed up in the back of our men's elite field.
Now with Leslie Patterson, we don't expect to see her coming out of the swim anywhere near the front. But the way that she won the race in the States recently was on the bike and on the run. And it's a familiar position for her. Coming out of the swim fairly well down, but then gradually picking off people on the bike and then the final run. It's her style, isn't it?
Exactly. So I have some updates from the end of that lap swim regarding our elite female athletes. So as expected, we had that group of 5. Emma de Croix, Amanda Presgraves, Anna Zinder, Samantha Kingsford and Maeve Kennedy had pushed on to create a 40-second gap over the wreck of the field. So a pretty good start to their day. However, in that second group, we had all of our big favourites. So we have Solène Boulogne led that chase group out, followed by Elise Patiez, Marta Mendito, Deirdre Dridrick, Sandra Meyerhofer, Susie Snyder, Luan Duvisson, Lizzie Orchard, Kerry-Ann Upham, and Katie Button, Leslie Patterson, Beatrix Ferreira, Lorena Earl, Karana Weasel, were all in that big group sitting a minute back. So that is a serious group with a lot of firepower that, like I said, I don't think that group were too worried about this 40-second lead.
Well, 40 seconds in the swim here, but then that incredible bike course. And that's the difference between what we're seeing here, this off-road racing style, compared to the fast and furious stuff you see on the roads with a pack riding and drafting, which it's a different style, completely different. But what we know is that some of these athletes are quite happy to mix and match those formats. But then when you look at the demands for this off-road race here, particularly this course, you do need a skill set that's completely different.
Yeah, you have to be good at everything. Like I said, you know, with XTERRA, you've got to be skillful, you've got to be fast, you've got to have good aerobic endurance, you've got to have some speed, you've got to have a brain on you as well. You know, you have to make some good decisions whilst you got mud in your eye and you're sliding sideways towards some trees. You've got to make some good choices.
I did like the comment from Jens Emil yesterday about one of the descents, and he said, I think I got pretty much beyond the limit. Because even he, and his riding ability is absolutely phenomenal. And he said, I think I went a little bit too far.
But to find where the limit is, you've got to go over it a couple of times. So here we go. This is our front group of men. Jens Roth is still leading at the front. So I don't expect anybody to have swum up from that second pack. So we're going to have Sam Osborne. We're going to have Michele Bonacina. Kellen Norland having a great start to his day. He is here on a serious education, I think. I think Keller knows that he's probably not going to feature at the end of the race. But this is the ultimate, you know, kind of scholarship, I think, Paul. You know, going and seeing what it's like to lead the XTERRA World Championships.
Well, Sam Osborne there, that was the American Championships. He was third. Which is pretty good performance from him.
Yeah, so Sam, he's not been as regular on the XTERRA circuit the last couple of years, obviously with the pandemic, the C word that shall not be spoken. So he hasn't had those same racing opportunities to go head-to-head with these guys. But I spoke to him in the press conference, and he said that he was all in for this XTERRA World Championships, which is the nice balance, how athletes can concentrate on the World Cup, or they can concentrate on, you know, one day, one race.
Well, that one day, one race in the swim is just about to end because they've got about 50 metres, less than 50 metres to go before our lead men come out. Run up into transition, wetsuits off, and then it's the bike. I've walked part of the bike course, backwards and forwards, but I've not been up in the hills.
Pretty big walk, Paul.
Well, yeah, I've done the flat bit.
Long walk. I can't walk for a bus.
Yeah, but the way that the athletes are given an opportunity on a relatively flat, packed section first, and then you take them up.
Here we go. So Jens Roth leads out of the water, Michele Bonacina and Sam Osborne right on his heels. Jules Dumas and Keller Norland is our front group of 5. So these guys have got a decision to make. They've got a small gap over the rest of the field. Do they go hammer time, or do they actually just take a little bit of an opportunity to rest, get some drink, get some food, take a deep breath before this group catches them?
Just looking at that, I like the way that the transition
Bradley
is
Weiss, Francois V, Lucas Kochar, I think that's Federico Spinazzi, Bart Kumos. Okay, now we're getting Sullivan Midars going through, just looking for our top favours. Arthur Serrier is coming through. There we go. So Arthur looks like he's peeled himself away from, I didn't spot Felix Frissier. Going to have to double check the splits just to see where he is at.
So Jules Dumas had a great swim. On the bike, off he goes.
Oh, there we go. So Felix Frissier was at the back of that group, 30 seconds back off of that lead. So he is in that group nice and safely alongside Arthur Serrier.
Now, as they go out on the bike, there's a section that takes them around the edge of the lake, which is relatively easy to manage. However, there's a narrow section as they loop around a small inlet. And they've been advised quite clearly in the briefing, try and be a bit sensible around that section because you'll be able to overtake a little bit later.
But have we ever known our elite athletes to be sensible? I'm pretty sure there will be no gifts given, and if there is a gap, someone is going to take that gap. And let's just hope we don't see anyone end up back in the lake for a third lap of the swim.
So we've got some e-bikes out on the course, and hopefully they're going to have some images coming back to us. It's impossible to get cameras all around the course because it really is quite wild out there. So we've got e-bikes, and they're going to be sending back 5G signals to us.
Okay, yeah, so as these guys are heading out onto that bike course, this is that narrow path you referenced, Paul. They're going to just jump off of it. They've got a little bit of grass section before doing that extra part. So for me, this part is, this part of the race isn't that important. This is a case of just shuffling in the order. You let the guy who's stronger in front take advantage of the flat section to sit in. So yeah, we have this big pack forming behind this lead group. Although we look like we've lost one of the athletes in here. We look like Jens Roth has already...
he's dropped back.
Or he's had an amazing transition and we can't just see him out in front.
It was Sam who was out first.
Well, in fact, I've just seen Jens Roth come past our commentary booth here, so he's lost over a minute in that first transition.
So the little bit of a left turn here is quite narrow, this section, and there's some pedestrians there.
Yes.
A bit of a rise, and then they drop down to go under that bridge, and they'll be looping back. There's a small inlet under the bridge. They'll be looping around the edge of that, and then coming along the shores, rising up past a couple of the hotels before they cross the main road. This is the only time they cross the road, and they then start climbing up.
I'm just going to jump in here, Paul, and give you an update before we switch back to our women's race. Here we go, women. Sorry, I'll save the update. So we've got Maeve Kennedy, Sam Kingsford, Emma Ducroix, and Anna Zyder, and who was Amanda Presgraves. So they are leading out. It looks like this group has broken up a little bit on the way back into transition, but I don't think they're too far spread apart. So as I was saying, we will obviously we'll prioritise our ladies coming out of the water if we can, but we've got Jens Milsloff Nielsen has. We'll go back to Sam Kingsford is here in transition. Like I said, she Kiwi, so a lot of travel involved. So she's been based in Australia. Based in the States. From New Zealand and has been based in America this year. Second place at the USA Champs, pipped in the last 1 kilometre by Leslie Patterson. So she will be here fairly fresh, having not done an awful lot of racing. this year.
And she was saying that she's a physical education teacher, a bit like Sandra Meyerhofer.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of our athletes have dual roles. You know, they are professional athletes and professional people. So yeah, she'll be looking for a good race. So here we go. So Emma Decroix, Emma Zyder look like they are taken. Sam Kinford's also just there. So this is our top 3 out on to the bike course already. So here is that big group. So Deidre Drudix leads out, Sandra Meyerhofer, and so Anna Zyder takes the lead.
That lead of, you said, about 40 seconds. I wonder how much or how long that's going to last.
Let's have a little look.
We've got some time splits coming to us from around the bike course, and we'll be able to pick up those. Hopefully the images we'll get from the bike course will give us an indication of how things are going. So they're on the other side of the lake now. There's a bit of a sweeping left and then a right, and then they start rising through the woods, and in 30-40 seconds from now we should see them cross the road, and that's when the grunty bit starts going as they go up the hill.
Yeah, that's when the athletes are faced with, I mean, it took me around 40 minutes to get to the top. But like I said, this climb is straight up and straight down. Like I said, a long climb, the mixtures between fire roads, single track, technical rooty sections, you know, rocky sections. It's a bit of a mountain biker's paradise. There's a bit of something for everybody.
Just to give you an update on the women's race, we've just seen that Maeve Kennedy has moved into the front. You can pick her out. She's got a very clear protective cover on her left arm, where she fell off the bike a couple of days ago.
Yeah, so I can give you an update on all of our women on the splits at the end of transition 1. So Maeve Kennedy led out onto that bike course. Anna Zyder from Switzerland, 8 seconds back with Emma Decroix, Sam Kingsford. Amanda Presgraves lost a little bit of time in transition 1, 25 seconds back, but then this big group of our favourites, Lisa Patier's led out onto the bike course. With Marta Mendito, Solène Bouillon, Susie Snyder, Luann Duvesson, Didi Drudrix, Sandra Meyerhofer, Beatrix Ferreira, Lizzie Orchard and Kerry-Ann Upham, all in one big group.
Good to see Lizzie Orchard back in form. She's said that she's been taking it very easy on the run because she had an injury, but she's the first time she ran was in fact on the short track, and it seemed to hold together. Good performance there from Kerry-Ann Upham.
Yeah, amazing.
British athlete who I think you decided to give her a wild card, and on the back of that wild card she's just improved.
Yeah, Kerry-Ann has paid her dues. She's raced as an age grouper. She's won pretty much there is to win as an age group athlete. She's won pretty much there is to win as an age group athlete, and now she's taken the step up to race pro. And I think she's justifying that decision now by being, like I said, 15th out onto the bike course in a World Championship field. So Leslie Patterson is also out onto the bike course. She went out around about 20 seconds back from that front group. Yeah, I know. Like I said, she hasn't done a lot of swimming, so she will be quite happy to be in that position. And we know that she can go uphill pretty quick. So. Like I said, she's very busy with, you know, obviously dealing with a Hollywood screenwriting career now. So, well, we're getting some nice shots, nice drone shots of these ladies about to start this climb before they go. Look at them, they're absolutely flying past the back of our elite men here. Like I said, just shows you how good these ladies are. They're making these men look like they should go back to the age group field, I think.
I can see there the athlete was putting some gloves on. Gloves? What is the advantage, Doug? Tell me about wearing gloves on a mountain bike course like this.
So when we have this like kind of wet, muddy conditions, having gloves, you get a small benefit of the additional warmth from them. You can feel your fingers, you can feel your hands, means you can brake and change gear effectively. But also, it's one of those things. It just helps that grip, that, you know, the kind of the traction between your hand and the handlebar. I personally don't like wearing gloves. But in muddy conditions, when I know that I will probably hit the deck once or twice because it's so slippy, having a set of gloves means that you can keep your hands nice and dry. So it means if you do fall off, you know, you can still have that traction. If you fall off without gloves and you get your hands covered in mud, you end up with that whiskey throttle on both sides. You can barely hold onto the handlebars properly.
Okay.
So, as I said, these athletes will, I mean, it'll be a personal choice. Some people will do it, some people won't. depends on what climate you're from and how used you are to riding in wet conditions.
Well, the climate is something that came out yesterday in the press conference, and all of the athletes were in favour of the conditions, apart from Bradley Weiss, who really gave a thumbs down. He didn't like the cold. His last race was down in Nice when it was rather warm, and here he is, and it's not quite as warm.
He's of it.
Oh, look at this. So we've had a series of races around the world which have been part of the World Cup. We've had a series of races around the world which are part of the XTERRA Pro Circuit. And with the XTERRA Pro Circuit, there's been about $500,000 in prize money that XTERRA has put up for these athletes. That's their income.
Yeah, it's a seriously big check. No, it's great that we have so much opportunity to reward these athletes for such amazing performances, and equal prize money, men and women.
Equal prize money, yep. We got Erin Baker to thank for that right back in the old days. Without Erin Baker's input, she's a Kiwi, we wouldn't have that. Well, we probably would have it, but it happened a lot quicker. Doug, the World Cup concept this year, 7 different locations and 12 races. You've decided as an organisation you're going to mix the full distance and the short track together, and you've given the athletes an opportunity to have an extra line of income from that. We're at the end of the year now. Has it been a good decision, the World Cup?
Yeah, I think without a doubt, it has elevated the performance, and we can see the rewards right here.
Exactly.
You know, so now this looks like this is going to be our main chase group. We don't know where they are in relevance to that first group before that left transition, but this is Sullivan Midar at the back of this group. So like I said,
just in
got
front
these,
of him is Arthur Serrier.
Yeah, so we've got Sullivan Midar in this group, Arthur Serrier. I'm thinking that's Felix Farissier just in front as well.
That's right.
Yeah, it's got it written on the back. That's Lucas Kochar ahead, and I think it's an orange suit. So it's either Francois V or Michele Bonacina of the Organi Coach team. So we've got some amazing images. Like I said, this is actually Mikhail Bluziak from our Czech team. He's riding an e-bike, and I think he's doing his best to keep up. But these guys are so fast. You know, the e-bike has a speed limit, so he's going to have to wait for some hills so he can start to catch up. But
this is great images to consider. With the signals are not reliable. There are plenty of black spots around here.
Okay, so it just looks like Sullivan is happy to follow the wheels at this point. You know, like we were saying in the short track, Sullivan is very young, 19 years of age, hasn't got loads and loads of experience. He, again, like Keller Norland, is part of that USAT podium project. So he is here trying to just learn how to be at the front of the race.
But his dad, as a pro athlete, 20 times he's now been at a world championship, but there's a younger brother.
The Midar family are ridiculous. I don't know what's over, you know, what they're eating over there and what they're feeding their kids, but I think the Midar family legacy is going to continue for another 20 years. Here we go, so we've got some action from the transition area. You know, like I said, it's very difficult. When you come out of that swim, you've been horizontal for 20 minutes. All the blood is evenly distributed. So that's Jana Dukova from the Czech Republic.
Yeah.
So mate, she's following all the rules. Look, she's putting all of her kit inside of her box, making sure not to pick up a penalty from the Italian Triathlon Federation here. Tightening the shoes.
Her best performance this year was second place at the XTERRA Valachie, which was quite a tough race out in the Czech Republic.
One of our long distance races.
Because it's not just the standard sort of 1500, 40, 10. You also have some quite long distance events. There's one in the Ardennes, which is a real long distance race, isn't it?
Yeah, like I said, the long distance format is to give athletes another chance to just have a lot of fun, try some new different distances, create a format which can work for different athletes, and again, just kind of spread that XTERRA spirit.
Well, the XTERRA spirit goes back a long, long way, and we are absolutely delighted that we've got someone just joining us in the studio.
My hero.
Well,
Can I introduce him, please?
go on, go on.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I would love to introduce you to the caveman, Conrad Stoltz, one of our original XTERRA heroes. Welcome to the commentary booth, Conrad.
Thank you very much. It's such an honor watching the race from this perspective.
And you've seen the start. You've seen the guys disappearing on the bikes and the women as well. You must be absolutely hungry for this yourself.
Yeah, I must say, when I saw the men line up on that blue carpet in front of this beautiful lake with these beautiful mountains, I was very, very tempted. But in reality, the fitness is not there. So watching is a lot of fun.
So Maeve Kennedy looks like she's still in the lead. That's the right arm there. You can see the covering on it to just give it a little bit more protection from the
So I know we do have some signal black spots on that first climb. So hopefully we do have another e-bike there ready and waiting to collect the elite ladies. But yeah, it looks like Maeve Kennedy is, like I said, extending that lead. She sent me a little message on Instagram yesterday. She said, obviously, thank you for mentioning her in the short track, and she's going to make sure she's at the front of the race for as long as possible today, so we can keep talking about her and keep her friends and family back in New Zealand watching.
Well, she was she was in a fairly well placed finish in the Taiwan race, wasn't she?
Yeah, Maeve's an amazing athlete. You know, she, like I said, she doesn't, coming from New Zealand, you're the opposite side of the world to where the majority of our world-class races happen. So she hasn't got the same number of opportunities to go toe-to-toe with, you know, these best women. So Taiwan was a good opportunity for her to, you know, to see where she sits amongst the, you know, the dominance that comes from Europe. And I think she went away, learnt a lot of lessons, and she's back here with one big goal in mind, and that is to lead this race all the way to the finish line.
Conrad, this time last year we were using you as a bit of an advertising opportunity to talk about the South African race that came back on the circuit. You must be delighted that there are so many people racing here today who qualified at your race.
Yes, it's so exciting to see all bump into South Africans everywhere you go. There's someone speaking Afrikaans or wearing the South African t-shirt. So, and that's the cool thing about XTERRA, is it's around the globe. People inspire each other to visit different countries and different races. And South Africa is also at the far end of the world, and they qualified and they trained and they're out here. So it's really cool to see that.
Doug, you mentioned that there's a special place in your heart for Conrad. I remember Arthur Serrier as a very young athlete racing one of the European events in, I think it was Pokljuka. And he said, I couldn't believe it. I was on the start list with Conrad Stoltz.
Well, I mean, all of the elite guys who are racing today, and I was saying this to Susie Snyder as well yesterday, another of our, you know, long-term professional athletes. And these guys who are racing today and have these opportunities to win decent prize money, to race XTERRA live on television, we owe, you know, we owe a lot to the legacy of those who raced before us to really make the sport exactly what it is today. So,
when you look
anyway,
at this,
enough fangirling from me.
So when you look at this now, Conrad, and you see, have you had a chance this year to watch the short tracks and the other productions we've had?
Yes, I was commentating a little bit during on social media for the short track, and then afterwards I watched a little bit of it in the hotel, and the production was just amazing. And it's thank you to technology that really makes this thing so accessible. If you want to watch the entire event today, it's going to take you 2-3 hours to watch, but the short track you can watch the whole thing in just a few minutes. So it's
a good way to showcase the event, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I like the opportunity we're going to have tomorrow for the age groupers, who have been quite inventive with some of their team names.
Yeah, well, I think we'll save those for tomorrow, Paul. No, so Conrad, before we, well, actually looks like we're going to get some images from the halfway point of the climb. Hopefully we'll switch back then, but until we do, Conrad, Paul and I have already discussed our picks for the race win today, male and female. We won't tell you who we've picked, but
okay.
One name only. Who have you got? Oh, here we go. We'll come back to that. But this looks like it is going to be our front group now. So looks like Jules Dumas is riding at the front. Arthur Serrier on the wheel.
Bonacina, good place.
Bonacina will also be in there. No, it's not Bonacina. That is Francois V. Same tri-suit.
Ah.
Felix Frissier will be in there, and that's Lucas Kotjar as well.
Oh, Lucas Kochar is just a powerhouse, isn't he? But Francois V took a bit of time out because he was racing on the roads. And look at this now. He's come
Here we
back
go.
in.
French,
Good
French,
position.
French, Italian, Czech. So I'm looking to see where Bradley Weiss and Sam Osborne are in relation to this front group. Here we go. So we have our e-bike. That's an e-bike camera coming through in shot. So
That's with the yellow bib.
Spinazzi is just having a great race with the camera coming through. So we're going to get some splits from this halfway point. So you can see that front group of 5 athletes within 3 seconds. So here is our what I would call our main chase group.
Sullivan.
So this Sullivan mid-art, Jesus, he's going up there like a rocket.
Wait for Jens Emil because this
you
is
are.
the climb. When we get to the
Sam
top of this
Osborne?
and
Yes,
then the turnaround, that descent is where Jens Emil is going to be taking full advantage of his skills and abilities.
Bradley Weiss. So I was chatting to Bradley before, and he said his strategy would be he finished 7th at Ironman World Championships 2 weeks ago, and he says his strategy would be to get away on the bike. He felt like he needed 2 minutes lead off the bike if he wanted to on this race.
Exactly. We've got Ruben Ruzafo coming through here again. Visually, he looks like he's gone the quickest up of that climb out of anyone in the race so far. You know, Ruben is always in a hurry to get to the front as soon as he can, because he knows that he needs that gap
And
over the
there,
rest of the group.
just behind the white top,
Here we go.
that looks like Jens Emil.
So this, Jens will be pushing hard. He knows that actually if he can get onto Ruben's wheel, that is the train ticket to the front of the race. He can have a little bit of company to take him that far forward.
Jens has made up a lot of time. I think he was 2 minutes 20 down.
Yeah,
A few meters after the swim, he's even made time on Ruben.
Yes, yeah, and like I said, we know from the short track that he has got some incredible form at the moment. Here we go. So Felix having a little look around, just seeing if this group of athletes are, this is now going to be by itself. Camera checking as well.
Would you
Checking
say
for
there's two?
Sullivan, I think, coming up, trying to ride his way into this race.
See, they got the altitude at the top, 1,300 metres. But would you say that these are two completely different bike courses? The going up and the going down.
Oh yeah, definitely. This course in general is a climber's course. I guess the total climbing time for these riders, the total riding time, is going to be an hour and a half maybe. And of the hour and a half, hour 10 will be climbing.
Good Lord.
So there's a lot of time. This race is won or lost on the climbs.
So just to jump in here, I don't know if you just saw that little panicked move from the two French guys, Felix and Arthur. Lucas Kochar has gone to the front and is laying down some crazy watts. This guy is so strong, you don't even see him attack because he stays seated the whole time and he'll just start churning. So you can see he's just pulled out a couple of wheel lengths. Felix immediately went to the front just to cover that move. Serrières is staring at the back of Felix Frizier's tri-suit and will not let him go anywhere. So there was really interesting little move there just to see.
It's nice to be able to see Jules Dumas name perfectly on the back there. Bonacina picking out the names there is good for the viewers to be able to identify them. We do have some images on the website that shows the race uniforms, but it's always nicer to see the name.
So yeah, so I'm hoping we'll get to see a little bit more coverage of our ladies race shortly. Like I said, you'll see these guys come through.
I think we've got the position here where the images are able to come back to us from the signal. And the women are possibly in that little bit of a black spot. The sun has come out. Oh my word.
It's perfect racing weather. It's a little bit chilly if you're just sitting around. It's chilly, but for the athletes, it's perfect racing weather. Downhill is going to be slippery and muddy, but at least it's not raining. Spectating is also fun.
Okay, so I'm guessing this camera has switched back here because we're expecting our leading women to go through
And
very shortly. This is actually a nice little shot of Xavier Daflon, another super biker. Like I said, he's maybe on the back slope of his career now, but he's still showing up. He's still giving 100%.
but he can take
He's
away
still
the fact that
working
he's
hard.
one of the few people who can cycle the Cittal course all the way.
Yeah, the guy can keep his feet up pretty much anywhere.
Conrad, how are you feeling? We look at the European courses compared to the American courses and Taiwan and South Africa. Is there a similarity between the courses, or if you go to a different continent, is it going to be completely different riding?
Well, I think that's the magic of XTERRA. Every race is different, every course is different. typically the European races that I've done has a lot of climbing.
So it looks like there's a move here. It looks like Felix is just pushing on this little climb. So he's just got that little bit of a gap, and Arthur is now going after him. Lucas Kochars looks like he's now paying for that huge move up that concrete road.
Look
But
how
they
wet
look-
it is.
But they look like they have dispatched Jules Dumas from that group.
I think this is when they get into the woods there, we're going to see how much the rain affected the course and how slippery it will or will not be.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit like peanut butter in there. There's grit if you can find it, and if you're creative and you've made the right choices with your tyres. But like I said, there we go, some alternate lines coming in. Like McKaylee's finding, look at that. Whoa.
Very slippery.
But there's still traction. They're still able to keep riding. They're still moving.
And that's for momentum. When it's wet and slippery like this, momentum is a big, big, big thing. So the slower you go, the harder it's going to be to find traction.
It's such a mixture of rock and mud and root. And as the course, it's a 2-lap course, obviously. As the athletes are going over this, that's going to change, because for the age groupers going up here, they're going to find that is potentially a lot slipperier.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this is a an official trail network. The local crew here do some great maintenance on the trails. When we have the sort of rain that we had yesterday, there's not much you can do about it. But you know, the trails are designed and they are built with a little bit of drainage in mind. They're not using flooding spots, so the course will hold up a lot better than any other venue would under the same amount of rain that we have. Here we go. We're getting some footage of our first. Here we go. So looks like Maeve Kennedy has still got a very small lead, but look, here are our 3 big favourites. Solène Poulard is head down, pushing
And
hard.
that's Dida Diedericks in 4th place.
And Elise is sat on the wheel.
And Sandra at about
Diedericks.
5th.
So it looks like we're going to have that front group of 5 women come together just as we get to that very technical slippy bit. So we'll see who has done the homework on the ice routes.
Did you, Conrad, yesterday, day before yesterday, did you get a chance to see Dida Diedericks racing?
I did, and I was really surprised. It's actually, I'm embarrassed to say, it's the first time I ever saw a race, and I was really surprised by how well this new athlete did really well. And I really, from what I saw, a race at the short track and looking how light she is, I think this course will suit her really well because it's a power to weight course.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about her skill level and exactly how technical the downhill is going to be, but I have a lot of confidence in. I'll put some money on Dida for maybe doing something special today. Also, her running is super, super fast.
So is that your pick for the win today?
Yeah, I'll say Dida for the ladies, and for the men, I would have to go with Arthur. I'd just love to say Bradley Weiss, but he just did Ironman and he's South African. I'd love to root for him,
Yeah,
but
you're
Arthur,
going
I think
heart would be Bradley Weiss, but head is our reigning world champion.
Yes, and I just saw the fire in him in Arthur when he did the short track again. He's a really passionate athlete and fire's burning inside.
It's Leslie Patterson going through there. She, like I said, she's a very busy schedule. She's definitely not. She would probably not describe herself as a professional athlete anymore, but she is here purely for the love of the sport. But still having a great race. She's just gone through that bike split in 11th place.
She made up a lot of time.
Yeah, so we'll probably expect to keep seeing her work her way towards the front.
So there's lots of activity down on the beach now as the age groupers get ready. We have a series of wave starts for them. We've got 56 nationalities racing. And JD Cousins, who's pretty much as high as you can get in XTERRA, was very keen to explain that this is the biggest field of female athletes we've got in the history of XTERRA racing, which is wonderful news.
Yeah,
so clearly, I think the message went back from last year, very positively, saying let's get out, let's go and race, and the numbers are up.
It's something I'm extremely proud of. As an organisation, we really focus on inclusivity and community and fun, and that this sport is, I mean, it's really hard, but the sport is for everybody. And you know, I'm extremely proud and not afraid to say that, you know, in terms of our male-female split, we are leading the way when it comes to in triathlon. We do much better than the other big brands out there, the other big races. You know, and it's something that I'm extremely proud what we've done as an organisation.
And also I have to mention the handicapped race. I saw a above the knee amputee cycling down this hectic downhill the other day, and I just felt that's so cool.
Well, Martin Falk last year, the Austrian guy, unfortunately can't make it this year. He's got other commitments.
Sorry to jump in here, guys, but we've got an amazing shot. Like I said, we've got a front group of 4 now. Solène is pushing hard at the front. Maeve is, I'm hoping she's taken a big deep breath and gone, I'm going to stay here. She's currently riding in 3rd place. Elise is going to have to go around Maeve, I think, if she wants to.
Second place, though.
That's Deirdre Didricks.
Oh, it is.
Yep. So I would also expect Sandra Meyer-Hofer to come into shot as well at this point. So this is a very, very steep, very, very ugly climb. Like I said, if the gap looks big here, it could actually be foreshortened because they're travelling so slowly at this point. So even if it's 2 or 3 wheels, by the time they get at the top, this could be 20, 30 seconds.
Yeah, and it's exploding right there. We can see the split happening.
So when
People
Elise
won't let the
starts-
wheel go. If you have the choice, you never let a wheel go.
And as soon as you start weaving around, you start looking for the line. You know, if you look at those front 2, they are riding straight up.
Oh,
They
there's
are
quite some distance
They're
there.
not avoiding anything. Here we go. So this is what I thought Elise would do. She has to get around Maeve. She has to commit to 20, 30 seconds worth of above threshold effort if she wants to stay with these front 2.
And also, at this time in the race where this kind of thing happens to you, you have to ask yourself the question, okay, it's going to be a 3.5 hour day for me. We're only on the first lap of the bike. Do I need to save some energy for the run? Am I on the limit? Will I be able to maintain this effort all day long? And you have to just make the decision, am I going, or am I just going to do my own thing and make sure I still have a good run?
Yeah, I mean, so what advice would you have for Elise in this position right now? I mean, not that she needs advice. She's leader of the World Cup. She probably actually knows more than us nowadays. But yeah, I mean, what do you do? Do you just go all in, and just you have to go with the race?
Personally, the way I raced is I was a big believer in, or am still a big believer in science, and follow my training. So I would follow my own pace and not worry about the other athletes until maybe the last little bit of the run course. So I just try and go as fast as possible from the start going to the finish line without worrying too much about other athletes and worrying what they're doing, because my racing weight was 85 kilograms, where the others are in their 60s and 70s, so there's no point for me trying to follow other athletes because my physiology and also the mental makeup for everyone is different. So
the 85 kilo, we need to get some context here. You're quite tall as well, so
yeah, that's part of the caveman.
Yeah, if I stand on the scales and I see 85 kilograms, then that's fairly unhealthy. You'd still look in pretty good shape for 85 kilos. So we again, like it looks like that front group of men has exploded as well. Probably similar situation here.
I think Maeve is using the advantage of Elise there. Elise hasn't pulled away as.
I think they were just getting a little replay. I think I've seen the shot before, but like I said, it's showing that moment where you can see the front 2 have already gone round that right-hand corner. So
yeah, just around this corner they're going to get into the woods, into the single track climbing. We have to make line choices, and where these riders for the first time will see what the damage was to the course after the rain, because these athletes, the course was closed yesterday, so as far as I know, athletes wouldn't have seen what they're going to see now.
So I went up and had a little look with the bike course. And
what did you see?
I only saw 3 tyre tracks.
Oh wow.
So either someone's up there on a tricycle, or
there we go.
Maeve Kennedy's off the bike there.
So this is what I wanted to say here. Like this, like you said, when it's so slippery and it's so technical here, it's almost like, well, no matter how much effort you put up that concrete road, you could throw it all away on one slippy route here.
And look at all the line choices. So it's not just one line. You have to read the trail ahead and make a decision. Am I going to take the muddy side, the rooty side, or am I going to head into the woods and ride on the leaves where there's no mud?
Yeah, and all of that comes with experience from riding lots of different trails and lots of different terrain.
Oh, there's Pauline V there. She's done quite well there. She's not too far off.
You see the little ducky sitting on her handlebars.
Yeah. And it's also interesting how athletes made specific equipment choices for this terrain. Like before the race, we looked at Solene's tyre setup, and she had a mud tyre in the back and a dry tyre in the front. And
she's been listening to Jens Emil then.
There we go. It's to find traction. As you can see there, you can. If it gets slippery in the trail, you move to the side a little bit to get some grass.
So this is the front of our men's race. So they've got past the first aid station on the course, and they've are just going on to this kind of last, maybe approximately about 5 or 7 minutes of climbing to the very top of the course now, and it looks like
Mathieu
those
Bolsin.
two French guys, Arthur Serrier and Felix Frisier, have effectively replicated what they were doing in Germany, and they put the hammer down and we want to shut the day down pretty early.
Yeah.
That was a brief glance of Maria Döring there from Germany, and just behind her, Caroline Guay from Canada.
So I have some more splits from that bike part 1. Just going to scroll through and see where any of our notable athletes are. So obviously we had Maeve Kennedy led through with that group of, well, what now is a group of 4. Solène Boulon, Elise Patiers, Didier Didrix heading towards the front of the race. Sandra was up into 5th place, 34 seconds back. Emma Ducroix, early swim leader, was at 57 seconds. Sam Kingsford at a minute. Marta Mendito, like I said, a slower start for Marta than I thought we would see. I thought, you know, she's very, very good at climbing. I thought she would be a little bit further towards the front, but like you said, Conrad, it's a very long day and an awful lot can still happen. Luann Dovison is actually riding with Marta, so those pair can work together. Leslie Patterson in 11th, Susie Snyder in 12th, Lizzie Orchard in 14th. Just scrolling through here, I think that is all of our favourites out towards the front. So we'll be looking for our next split at the very top of the climb for those ladies.
With Arthur in this position, if he is able to keep the pace running, what surprised me was the performance that was put in Zittau. He had the fastest bike split, and to see that he was able to push that against the likes of Ruben Rizaffa, who crashed obviously, but against Jens Emil, and then with the enormous Serrier running power, at the moment I think my prediction is probably going to be turned around. But Arthur Serrier looking in a good position there. Against any of the other athletes, Arthur has the advantage on that final run. He's so consistently strong over the closing stages of the race.
Yeah, he's really a phenomenal athlete.
So this is a little clip of Elise, just making her way up into into that top part of the course.
This is that rooty section. We have to go far right or far left. It's choosing far right.
So it looks like Elise has managed to bridge that gap up to, I think that's Deirdre Didrix in front. So Deirdre has lost the wheel of Solène. So it looks like Solène has taken advantage of those mountain bike skills.
Well, for Solène, the start of the season didn't go quite as planned, but she's been picking up and delivering throughout the rest of the season, and she's been very consistent. And the way that she could have taken it easy a couple of days ago for the short track, but no, she threw the gauntlet down, off she went, and she had a commanding win. And it must be really quite satisfying. She's entered the race this morning, off she goes. So we have there, that is Marine Echevin from France on that long climb.
Just making it look easy. Here we go. So we got a little bit of, looks like Deirdre Didrix just made a little bit of a mistake on some of those routes. Like I said, opting to just jump off the bike, run a few steps and get back on. Made it look extremely smooth. Don't think she even lost any time at all.
The Dutch are big on cyclocross, right?
Yeah.
Running the bike, jumping back on.
Yeah.
There's a big art to it.
Well, that's what Solène was doing over the winter months, wasn't it? She was doing a lot of cyclocross racing.
Yeah, I always say that your minimum speed should be the speed you can push your bike at.
Yep.
So even if you are able to keep your feet up and you can ride, if you're going that slowly, then you need to do something about it. So here we're coming up to bike split 2. This is the very top of the course. We're expecting to almost can freewheel all the way back down to Molveno. I think these guys will be in a little bit more of a hurry than we were yesterday, Conrad.
It'd be interesting to see who wants to take the single track first, because once you get into the single track, there's not a lot of room for overtaking. So
I wonder what they're saying to each other at this point.
Well, the risk is, if one goes down, that's going to take 2 out.
Yeah, so I mean, but you know, these guys are so skilled at the downhill. I think they could ride this pretty much in their sleep. So we go. So Felix looks like he is led into that single track. This big sweeping left-hand wall ride. Both of them staying nice and low, keeping it safe.
How close is this to the top of the cable car?
So the cable car has 2 sections. So
Yep.
this is the middle section of it. We could go a little bit higher, but I think they've probably done enough climbing for the day. Especially when you're riding this, you just want to get off the bike. You will just want to start going downhill. There we go. Our age groupers are still just making their final preparations. Last few questions. Last little couple of good luck messages from their supporters. And here we go. We have some splits for that bike split too. So Felix Frussier leads through with Arthur Serrières. Oh, it's just disappeared already. Here we go. So yeah, so Felix Frussier leads through with Arthur Serrières. Michele Bonacina in 3rd. Lucas Kochar starts the downhill in 4th position. With Sullivan Midar has closed that gap to just 43 seconds. So he has put 20 seconds into the group behind. Ruben is coming. He is making his way forward. He's still 110 back, but I would expect to see him almost at the front by the time they get to the bottom.
Now, Dieter Diederik's coming off the bike once again, and you can actually begin to understand how steep that section is there as you watched her pushing the angle of the body, the angle of the bike. Doesn't look easy at all.
Yeah, so I'm hoping our e-bike camera just stays out of the way, gives her a little bit of space, makes sure that she's happy. Like I said, there's very, very little grip. There we go, so the e-bike's just going to try and track. So this is Elise. So she is off in pursuit of Solène. So Elise is incredibly good at the technical stuff. I don't know how she does it, she's just magic. So she must do a lot of secret training or just be naturally gifted. She doesn't seem to get affected by anything. Like
It's being able to read the line as it comes towards you.
It just doesn't waste a single pedal stroke. Never brakes when it's unnecessary. Knows all of the lines. It's just, I could probably watch Elise ride a mountain bike all day.
Oh wow. I think it's going to make a massive difference today because you saw Dieter was having a hard time there. Like when it gets a little bit rooty, she had to get off, and she also chose a hardtail where you make time on the climbs a little bit because of the weight, but then when it gets rooty, that's where the dual suspension really comes into play.
Would you, for the conditions we got out at the moment, would you recommend a hardtail or a softtail?
Me as the caveman, I always went with a dual suspension bike, especially because I'm heavier, so the weight of the bike didn't make that much of a difference. Where the dual suspension makes a massive difference, where you can sit down and power. Even on the climbs, you can just sit down and power through any rough stuff, and the suspension eats it up.
I see some of the jumps coming in now. The speed on the descent is great, but there's an added risk to that.
So now we're heading into the technical part of the downhill. The first part is quite bike parky, flowy, berms, hard to lose time actually. But now, when they come off this little jeep track, they're going to head into the woods, and it's just roots, and it's rocks, and it's mud, and it's slippery.
Yeah,
we're going to see where things. Sullivan is racing
ass, I think. Excuse my
That's
French.
the word,
but
yes.
This guy is. He must be full of confidence. Like I know, we were pushing him a little bit in the press conference yesterday to kind of make comparisons against his dad.
Yeah.
You know, what does it mean to live the legacy and you carry on the family name, etc. And he's almost too polite for his own good. I'd love he would just
very polite.
But like I said, I think we saw in the short track with that 3rd position against the kind of talent we have here that like Sullivan isn't on his way to becoming as good as his dad. I think he is
already
as good as his dad now.
And it was interesting, I raced Josiah for many years, and the determination I saw in Sullivan just now there reminded me of the determination
Just
that Josiah has.
The body language, you can see when someone means business, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, Ruben has just gone through as well, so he is shutting that gap. Like I said, there was some 35 seconds between Ruben and Sullivan at the top, and that's definitely come down. This looks like Sam Osborne just about to make the left turn around that berm. That blue tri-suit, the waterfall racing, I can pretty much spot from anywhere.
That's Ruben again.
It's the same shot. So we are getting, like I said, because we have some issues with signal up there, we are recording some clips and then dropping them back in. So the odd occasion we'll maybe see the athlete come through twice, but we'll spot it and let you know.
But they're good images, aren't they?
It's just amazing when the years when I started racing, You were lucky to get a couple of grainy photographs 3-4 days after the event, and here we're watching.
The black and white photographs.
Not quite, not quite. But here we're watching, anywhere in the world you can watch this live, watch the race unfold with this technology. It's just crazy.
So we've got, I think, 750 athletes in total. It's not like some of the other races where you might sort of come 15th or 16th and the roll down gives you an opportunity. To get here, you are either winning your category, you're coming second or third, or you're within a certain percentage. So we are getting the very best in the world's age groupers racing here, and that's what really does push the whole competition up a level.
Yeah, there are no gifts to get to the XTERRA World Championships. There's no at-large entry. Every single entrant has qualified by right of a good performance.
And depending on the numbers in your age group, there will be an increase or a decrease in the amount of slots that are available. And there's something like 50-something races per year around the world to give you the chance to get to.
So here we go. We look like we're just coming now to the end of that first lap. So
when they come through the town, the route through the twisting, turning alleyways is amazing, isn't it?
It's beautiful. It's the road section is very fast. You'll see the hairpin turns, and there's a couple of manhole covers in each of those turns. You have to really watch your line.
So barely slowing these guys down. So this is going to be Arthur Serrières and Felix Frizier. From the drone shot, we can't tell who is leading and who is just following down. Here we go. There's a very tight little chicane there just to stop them before this. Well, we do have this you'll see them make a really, really tight left-hand turn to go onto the cobbled streets of Molveno.
That's a good feature, that, just to slow them down. Otherwise, entering that section would probably be a bit too risky.
Just looking at the French colours on the back of the tri-suit, I think this is Felix has just looked to push on a little bit. He's pulled out a handful of seconds over Arthur, but by the time you grab a gel, have a drink, they'll be back together again to start the second lap.
This part of the course, it's what I really love about racing in Europe, particularly in Italy, is they often take you through the old town, and this footage doesn't quite do it justice, unfortunately, because you go down this cobble street and you go underneath a building. There's an arch where you like a low arch where you have to go down some stairs underneath the building through cobblestones, and it really brings this European style racing back home, which I really enjoy.
So here they are. They're not far from where we are in the commentary position, and they're going to be looping around very soon. It's a wonderfully designed course, I think.
Yeah, like I said, it's the Molveno is literally a cross triathlete's dream location. If you did a survey and you said build the best course in the world, I think we would end up with something pretty close to this. The mountains are an absolute outdoor activity mecca, whether you like doing mountain biking, hiking, paragliding, kayaking, climbing. There's pretty much something for everybody in this region of Italy.
And the good thing is the hotels are so in tune with the mountain biking opportunities. They encourage you mountain bikers to come here. The hotels we are Paganella, Dolomite bike hotels.
Hotels as bike washers. You can charge your e-bike.
But these guys, they're having a little look. They don't actually look that muddy. The bikes don't look covered in mud. Their tri-suits aren't absolutely ripped. We can still tell who's who. So yeah, like I said, Felix will be leading Arthur Serrières into that transition lap one. Just coming around the back of our commentary position. This is Michele Bonacino has got down to the bottom of the descent. So I'm not sure what we got. Lucas Kochar was in this front group at the top. We had Jules Dumas in that front group at the top.
And you can see the river to the left there. There's a little bit more determination in the river, which feeds into the lake. That's the wash coming down from the
It's interesting how the Dolomite Mountains changed the color of the water.
Yes.
It was blue.
Yep.
I think it's cheese. It's like melted cheese.
So Lucas has dropped off there. Ruben
is leading, and then Sullivan.
There we go, and that's Lucas just behind. So I wonder if Lucas has actually hit the deck on that bottom section. To lose that much time, I mean, we know Ruben and Sullivan are on the move towards the front of the race, but to lose that much time that quickly, I can only assume he's been down.
Well, the thing is with Lucas, he's got such an enormous amount of power that
Sometimes it's controlling it. Here we go. So these guys make the turn. They've been in this position before at the halfway point of the bike. They have only had each other for company.
Now, for the age groupers who are watching this, they must be looking at it now thinking, as you said, Doug, they're not that muddy, which means possibly it's not going to be as bad up there, because I know amongst the age group community there was a lot of worry and concern about how bad the course was going to be chewed up.
So I'm just getting word that our elite female athletes have reached the top of the climb. So hopefully we'll get a few images from those, either live or delayed. But Solène Boulouin has crested the top of the climb.
Looking at Arthur there, it seems like him and Felix, I think, wouldn't say playing it safe, but it seems like he's just happy to be in front.
But do you think they'll cancel each other out? You know, in Germany, the two came off the bike together, and they were almost inseparable for the whole of the 10-kilometer run. So both of them kind of going, yeah, you know what? You could run it as fast as me.
We race each other.
I'm not going to do the work here.
They're just passing in front of the commentary booth, and Arthur looks very relaxed.
He's just on the wheel.
Yeah, but I think they're cancelling each other out. Look at this time gap, like just based on what we're seeing and where these athletes are riding now. Ruben, if they're not careful, Ruben and Sullivan will be with them before the start of this climb. Look at them. It looks like they're out. It looks like they're riding to the cafe.
We had 2 minutes and 20, I think you said, for Jens Emil off the pace.
Maybe he's just gone
1
through.
minute and
Jens
17.
Emil's just gone through screen then.
So he's saved a minute.
So I've got the splits here. So like I said, we saw Ruben and Sullivan come through along the board for the fronts at 53 seconds behind the front pair. And Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen has come through at 1 minute and 17 back in 7th place. So, like I said, it's as far as Jens, Ruben, Sullivan, it's game on towards the front of the race. I think these French guys are possibly throwing the race away right now.
Oof. Well, the images there, you can see them. That's, I'm pretty sure, just going under the bridge there. Is that Ruben and Sullivan? Because catching up behind them at the moment, Jens Emil is storming through, and it won't. He'll have an opportunity of seeing just where they were. As he went past the commentary booth, he glanced ahead to see where they were.
He goes, that's the cheese, is Midar, is it?
Yep.
There you go. So Conrad, I've got a question. Have you been in a position before where, like Felix and Arthur in right now, where you have just stared at your opponent and almost stopped waiting for the other person to
No,
to
not
try
at
and
all.
dictate the race?
I was going to make a comment earlier. I'm trying to put myself in the mind of Arthur Serrier, knowing that he's the strongest runner. It was never in my wheelhouse. I was never the strongest runner, so I always needed time off the bike if I wanted to win. So I had to bike my brains out and try and have a biggest lead as possible coming into the run, because Josiah Medau and there was always a number of faster runners behind me. But if you on the bike and you know you're the fastest runner, all you need to do is just finish with the fastest rider. And that's what he's doing. He's just hanging around the front. He doesn't have to kill himself.
Here we go.
He just waits there until whoever rocks up, and then he just rides with him and then runs it out.
Here we go. So we're just getting some images. This is Elise Patier's, and she's currently in 2nd place, 1 minute and 13 seconds behind Solène Boulouin. So Solène has obviously put her foot down. She's pulled out a minute on that technical climb.
Well, that's something that Elise needs to keep an eye on, because on the run course it will be Solène who pretty much will be able to hold that.
Yeah, well, like I said, the rest of the splits here, hopefully we'll get some footage to back it up. But we've got Sandra Meyerhofer has overtaken Deirdre Diedrichs. Now sits in 3rd place, 1 minute and 34 seconds off Solène. Deirdre is still in 4th, but like I said, is seemingly hemorrhaging time on the technical sections. With Leslie Patterson continuing to make her way towards the front, now in 5th place, having overtaken Maeve Kennedy, Marta Mendito. Luan Doverson sits in 8th place as they crest the top, 3 minutes and 18 seconds back.
Look at that image. That's the age groupers. This is amazing. Look at this. The age group athletes will be sent off in waves. You've got 4 holding pens for them. Look at that. Fantastic.
How's this venue? I mean, you cannot make this up. This lake is so beautiful, and this facility we have with the Australian exit in the middle with the pontoon, and the mountains and the backdrop. It's just literally this venue is something that I think every athlete should.
But for the age group,
Good
so
experience.
much time and effort has been put in. They've sacrificed so much to get here. Not in terms of what they do with the family, what they do with the work. And here they are, and the sun's come out, and they are here with the world's best, fighting for that position and the world title.
Cool. So, unfortunately, Conrad, you don't get to join us for the start. Oh, actually, we've got Sandra Meyerhofer just dropping out halfway down this descent. Look how fast she's
flying.
going. I mean, Sandra has had an amazing year, both in XTERRA and in mountain biking, becoming the Italian mountain bike marathon champion and a top 10 finish at the UCI World Mountain Bike Marathon Championships, which is...
It was a 90k, wasn't it?
There was 100 kilometres
Yeah.
around my backyard trails in Scotland, and I think it would take me 3 days to finish it. You know, and she gets it done in 6 hours with the best women in the world.
So, look at that. The age group waves, first one off.
I'm afraid, yeah, Conrad, we're going to have to say goodbye. You have some other media roles to fulfill.
Yep, you can
to
follow
do
us
it.
also on Instagram. This live footage is the best way to follow, but if you want, you can also follow us on Instagram, where we're posting stories at XTERRA.
And,
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very
Good
much,
luck.
Conrad. Enjoy the rest of your day. Here we go. So, like I said, our age group race is underway, and like I said, that big delay between our elite field starting at 10 o'clock this morning and our age group race starting at 11:15 gives these elites a chance to have the clearest course possible. So it keeps the course nice and empty. It means we can bring some excellent coverage to you guys. So here we go, Paul. Like we said, these two are now together starting that climb. I said,
I think it's going to be very interesting, Doug, just to see how much focus they have on each other and what they're listening to from the coaches and what they can see coming up behind them. Because, as you said, if they're not focused on what's happening behind them, the threat from Sullivan and from Ruben.
Luan Duverson just dropping down. There we go. So Luan looks like she is building into this race. Let's say an uncharacteristically kind of slow swim. We're used to seeing her towards the front, and she's building in. But yeah,
her running is so strong.
Oh, exactly. She can always count on that. Her run is amazing.
But if she's, again, for her, if she's not aware of where Leslie Patterson is, and Leslie's made it quite clear she's just going to have a good time, she's happy to be here, there's no real pressure on her, she enjoys the community feeling, she enjoys the atmosphere, but she's so incredibly good on the run.
I always say nothing to prove, nothing to lose for Leslie. But no, coming back to these two guys at the front of our men's 2023 World Championship, and they finally look like they're putting some effort in now. They're finally looking like they're pushing on and hopefully doing what they need to do to stay away.
It's a nice mixture of course. We've got fairly solid surface there, then you've got the mix of the routes. Those lines across the road are basically for water flow. But you've got this difference, and if you were riding this, Doug, would you be giving extra power and acceleration on these compacted sections, and then saving the energy for the off-road, the rough bits?
For me, it depends on two things. Like I was asking Conrad there, it depends on where you are and your position and your strengths within the race. So these guys, they know that they're the fastest runners. So right now, they're actually maybe just riding at 95, 80% of what they're capable of, knowing that the average speed is high, and the guys behind have to do something special to close that gap. I mean, if you think about where you will make the most time, it's on the slowest parts of the course. So where it's really steep, where it's really difficult, that's where you want to be making the biggest difference.
Yeah.
On the flatter stuff, the faster stuff, when the speed's higher, you want to follow the wheels, you want to make sure you're eating and drinking, you want to make sure that you are looking after yourself for, like I said, when it comes to crunch time, and you can get some stuff done.
Okay, for the age groupers, when the elite race is over, we're going to leave the feed open. There'll be a separate feed for you to follow, and at the finish line, you'll be able to watch all of your families and friends and clubmates cross the finish line. We're going to keep that open throughout the day. It's just that for the broadcast for the elite, We've got a satellite spot which will sort of close down around about 1:45, 2 o'clock. So for the age groupers, we're going to keep that line open at the finish line. Is that Xavier Daffon? No.
No, so that's
Zainda,
Anna Zaida.
Zainda.
So she is like moved a little bit further backwards through the field now, like after that amazing start. But a very, very young athlete, under 23 athlete from Switzerland. Like I said, so she's still having a great day today. She's going to take away a lot from this. Emma Ducroix there, so at her first XTERRA World Championships. Again, having a fantastic day out. Here we go. So we have our next wave of age group athletes getting their XTERRA World Championship underway. Looks like everybody's got a nice amount of space.
Yeah, that's something that I think they've improved upon from last year. They've got a wider start for the swim.
Nice. So Elise has got down towards the bottom of the climb. So hopefully we'll see her come in. Hopefully Solène is still in front and we've not had anything happen to her on the downhill. But we are likely to pick her up on the cameras when we do.
So that section they were coming through was part of the short track as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, so in fact, showing up on my splits here, I haven't got Solène at the end of the bike course yet. So either Elise has just put some time back in and Solène hasn't crossed the line, or we might...
well, we got...
we've just seen a guy ride past without a seat.
He's actually, rather than throwing it away, he's got the seat tucked into the back of his race uniform. It was the French athlete.
Obviously doesn't want to get done for littering.
It was Aurélien Pinel wearing number 94. I've never seen that before. I did see years ago somebody ride an indoor triathlon with no seat post. But, oh, good lord.
I'd say we can now relax. I've seen on the timing splits that Solène Blouin has finished the first lap of the bike. So this is Sandra just coming back in towards the event village. It's riding in third place. And so these ladies really aren't that far apart. Here we go, we're getting some splits now. So Elise has closed that gap from a minute at the top of the climb to just 25 seconds at the end of our first lap of the bike.
How far behind is Sandra?
We'll wait and see. I think it's still around about a minute.
20 seconds.
I said we'll wait for the official splits. Here we go, we're getting some splits onto here. There we go, 25 seconds. So Elise has used those technical skills to just push on, just look to try and ride herself back towards the front of the race.
Is that...
Here we go, so this is Deirdre Diedrichs in fourth position. So she would have lost a little bit of time on that descent. Like I said, there's not many mountains, there's not many routes, there's not many muddy puddles in the Netherlands this time of year. My experience of mountain biking in the Netherlands is
sand.
All on the beach. It's all sand. So we know she's super strong. So I expect to see her creep her way back towards the front on the climb.
If you think about what she's done on that first lap of the bike, she hasn't lost as much time as people might think she should lose. So she has clearly got some good off-road skills. We're just seeing Elise Patier cross in front of us.
So we're going to get some splits on Sandra, but it looks like she is a minute and 27 back from Solène. So around about a minute behind Elise. But again, on a course where we're now faced with a 20-25 minute climb for these ladies, a minute is well within reach of an athlete like Sandra.
Well, having tested the course, of course they were not allowed to go out yesterday, but having been out there today and seen the tough bits, the easy bits, we're now seeing Marta Mendito.
Yep, so Marta will be rolling around in 5th position. So she's having a great race. Leslie Patterson is probably not going to be very far behind. Like I said, for me, Leslie, if she has a great day here and she's done maybe a little bit more training than she's letting on, then I expect her to have a good race. It might just be that she finds her, the limit of her endurance. When you're not able to train, she might find she gets halfway through this race and then that might be her day done. But I'm excited to see how all of these ladies get on. Maeve Kennedy just dropping back down into the event arena. That's it's amazing that Maeve even managed to take the start this weekend. The
Well,
after that, the gash in her arm after practicing earlier in the week, and then getting it stitched up and wearing that protective arm sleeve just to try and.
Well, there's butterfly stitches and glue.
Well,
There's super glue.
the resilience of XTERRA athletes never fails to surprise me. Gluing
Well,
your arm back together 3 days before the XTERRA World
Well,
Championships.
we had that high drama in the Czech Republic with Sandra Mayhofer crashing, and as she left T2, the faces on the spectators as she ran past, there was a look of absolute horror. But then you had Emma de Creux, I think it was, who was stung by some flying beast and crossed the finish line and was pretty much on the edge of getting into shock. But they nevertheless carried on racing.
Yeah, I think when you're in the zone, you're in the zone. And it's very difficult to separate your various different states from athlete state to human state. But, you know, these guys are good. We've got nice conditions today, which obviously helps compared to last year.
I think everybody who's on the start line this morning, having seen what happened yesterday, must be so delighted that the weather has changed. And it is very typical of a mountainous region when you have 1 minute pouring rain, the next minute bright sunshine. But you're right about the courses, Doug. There are signposts all through the woods around here with track after track after track. And the amount of work that the region here, the tourist region, has put into making this a mountain biker's paradise.
It's around about 250 kilometers of waymarked trails, which, I mean, obviously some of them are downhill, some of them uphill, some of them are good loops, but like I said, we're very lucky to be hosted by this region and be able to put our XTERRA Mountain Bike World Championship course, XTERRA World Championship Mountain Bike course on the trails. So we just saw a little shot of both Leslie Patterson coming through transition, finishing the bike in 6th place, 3:30 from the front of the race. Luan Duverson is just behind her in 7th place, 3:51, and Maeve Kennedy in 8th place at 4 minutes 11. So our ladies' race is spreading out a little bit. Like I said, it's 5 minutes on this course. With this amount of climbing, everything can change on its head at a moment's notice.
We've got the aid station there. There's also a littering area, so they can get rid of all of the gels and stuff or the packets within that area, because there's no littering out on the course. Absolutely not.
So it looks like our elite men have also made it through the first bike split on the second lap. So Felix Frizier and Arthur Serriez are riding together. Absolutely zero gap between the two of them. So they're still looking at each other, still working together.
That's Maeve Kennedy taking on the necessary fluids from her other half, who was also the guy who patched up her arm.
Yeah, so we have a elite coach zone. So in addition to the regular aid station at this location, we have an area where athletes can receive their specialist drinks, their preferred brand. There's tech assistance there. So just to make...
That's the repair tent, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So just to give the elite athletes a chance to make sure that they can have the best race possible. And
oh, look at that image. Fantastic.
there we go. So Sam Kingsford just coming back in to finish her first lap. I said she's playing the long game today. You know, she's an excellent mountain biker with some amazing skills. So she will be ready to pounce, ready to move up through the field if the opportunity presents itself.
I had a look through some of the results from around the world on the World Cup event. In Taiwan, we had Alizé Battiez, Solène Billouin and Loan Duvoisin taking first, second and third.
Here we go. So we're back with Solène Billouin on the bike course here. So we've got the moto just... hopefully stay far enough in front so she's not getting any of those fumes.
Who's just behind her though?
So that will probably be one of the back markers of our elite men. So currently Fee being very humbled, I think, by the French athlete. So Solène she's head down, the body position is locked in. She's relaxed, but she's working hard. Like I said, nice high cadence, she spins. A very, very high gear. She told me in Germany she fits a 30-tooth chainring to the front of her bike. Most bikes will come with a 30 or 34 as standard. And so it's quite rare for an athlete to run such a small chainring, but it works for her quite clearly. She's the defending champion here for a reason.
Well, it works for her because that was a win for her in the Czech Republic. It was a bronze in Germany, in Zital. Where else did she win? That was... and of course the silver in Taiwan.
Yeah, a smaller chainring just allows you to spin your legs more. So when there's climbs are this steep, you can still rely on your heart and lungs to take you to the top, rather than having to muscle your way through it. So I know Solène is an athlete who has struggled with cramps before, deep into a race. So anything she can do to just kind of reduce that extra fatigue on those muscles, which, you know, it's always the quads that go first when you in XTERRA. So yeah, if she can minimise that damage, minimise that impact to those muscles, then we know she's going to back that up with a fantastic run.
It was last year, the win she took here was at the end of a fairly bitter year for her, and the emotion that flooded out from her as she crossed the finish line pretty much mirrored that of Arthur. Arthur as well dedicated so much of his time to racing, locked himself away. His mum wasn't very well at all last year, and she was unable to be there. When he crossed the finish line, my goodness, it was emotional. And he said yesterday at the press conference, my family are here. It's the first time in 10 years that they've been able to come and see me race.
Yeah, it's the same for Solène. Her family and her extended Danish family now, they're all here. And I think you just get that extra little bit of power when you're surrounded by, you know, a quality support crew.
Well, also, there's a lot of pressure on you because you now feel you've got to do something.
No, I think it's the opposite. Your family will love you and will be super proud of you whether you come first or last. At least my mum always was.
Well, we just seen one of the first of the age groupers setting off on the bike, so that was one enormous swim from him.
Yeah, you'll get these freaks of XTERRA, some ex-professional swimmer or an ex-professional mountain biker that will have an absolutely, you know, blistering individual discipline. Whether they can then hold it on the other two is what makes the triathlon a real leveler. It makes the sport very interesting.
Well,
People transition from one sport to
Look what
three.
happened in Western Park. We saw Alistair Brownlee on the start list, and okay, Alistair Brownlee, yeah, but he's also a very good off-road rider. In the
Wow.
swim, he was quite comfortable. He was quite comfortable, wasn't he? On the bike, though, it was Max Chanet, and a big shout out to Max. Unfortunately, Max is unable to race because he really badly dinked his elbow. But Max was taking a second out of Alistair Brownlee in virtually every turn. And it was, in fact, Max who led them back into T2. But then, of course, for Alistair, out on the run, bang, off he went. And a real shame that Alistair was unable to make it here to race because of an operation removing a bone spur. But
Here we go.
those are our splits.
So yeah, so we have our bike split number 3, so halfway up that climb on the second lap. Felix Fursier leads in with Arthur Serriez riding with him at 0 seconds. Ruben has moved into 3rd position at 53 seconds with Sullivan Midar right on his wheel. So those two are riding together. Michele Bonacina still sits in 5th. Lucas Kochar 6th. Jens Emil Sloth Nielsen is in 7th, but he doesn't look to be able to be shutting that gap towards the front of the race. He is riding by himself. He's in the middle of that front group and the main chase group who are losing time. So he's going to have to do this all by himself. He's one man against pretty much 4 at this point. So we know he will continue to make time, but it's how quickly can he do it.
He's got to pull something out of the hat for this last lap on the bike, because otherwise that chance of pretty much even the podium is not looking so good for him.
Yeah, and I know in the press conference he was hoping for conditions to get worse. He was hoping for torrential rain, flooding, the most difficult bike conditions that there could possibly be, knowing that that's going to play into his hands. So perhaps it's an indicator that the conditions out on the course are actually fairly favourable, despite the weather we were struggling with.
You see the shape of the swim there. It's really quite nicely defined, isn't it, with the like the M shape.
Yes, so this is nice. So obviously with so many athletes that we have, a 2-lap, a traditional 2-loop swim, it's very difficult to do. So we still get all the benefits of an Australian accent. We get a nice show for the spectators. We can see a little bit more of the swim, but without any of that chaos and carnage that happens with a traditional 2-loop swim with this many athletes.
Yep. And Zogs have been our main sponsors for the swim. Big shout out for them. They were giving out throughout the season. We saw certainly on the European circuit, Zogs goggles were being handed out by the team.
Exactly. If you were lucky enough to get hold a pair of these Zogs goggles, then I'm sure there's a few being used in here.
Yep, and it's Victoria who've sponsored the bike course.
There we go. So that's the sponsor plugs done. So no adverts, no adverts here on the XTERRA live coverage, only action. So just going to scroll through some more names for these men's bike split number 3, just to see where we have some other athletes. So one person we haven't talked very much about today is Belgian athlete Sebastian Caraban. Like I said, quietly sitting in 6th place on the world. Okay, so yeah, sorry. Sebastian Caraban quietly sitting in 6th place at the XTERRA World Cup, and he is currently in 12th place moving forward. Still some 5 minutes back, but he has made up an awful lot of time in the swim. Sam Osborne looks to be in 17th place, and I cannot see Bradley Weiss has not come past that second timing split yet. So obviously feeling the effects of that Ironman World Championships a couple of
And
weeks
also
ago.
potentially the cold. Now we can see at the front of the race we've got Felix and Arthur. Might be now a great opportunity to hear from Arthur in an interview. And
And Bradley Weiss.
Yeah. Okay, we're just going to hear from Arthur Serrier.
My goal is to defend my title, have a nice battle in the front and try to win the race. Right now I can't say I just want to have a good race because I'm the world champion, so yeah, my goal is to win the race and I will try, and I think I'm really well prepared for that, so we'll see.
Yeah, here to defend his title. And yeah, it was quite an emotional time last year with the press conference. Arthur pretty much laid his heart on the line and explained how he'd locked himself away, and his phrase was, "I lived like a monk." He worked so hard, and the result of that was that world title. At last, he got the world title. This year, he hasn't had the best of races at the start. He had he described one as probably the worst race he'd ever had, but then he built into his training package, or his training program, some blocks, some really heavy, intense blocks at altitude. And so he then, with the blocks of training, it gradually came together, and his consistent delivery of high performance over the short track has given him the confidence. He didn't quite have the results throughout the year that he wanted. In Taiwan, it was not the best of races at all. Neither in Namur. Namur was a surprise because he wasn't even in the top 3. Then in the Czech Republic, 2nd place there on that very tough course, and a win in Germany. His performance in Oak Mountain, again, first place there. So he's coming to the race as pretty much the favourite.
Yeah, I mean, by most XTERRA elite athletes' standards, Arthur has had an incredible season. Like I said, when you are...
But he put it down. He said he didn't.
Yeah, but when you've won everything, when you've won almost every single race in the season, you win the European Championships, you win the XTERRA World Championships, unless you match it the following year, it always feels like a disappointment. So for me, I think Arthur's been fairly hard on himself. Like I said, the World Championship is something no one can ever take away from him, but it's also something he can only ever equal. He cannot become better than world champion after all. So yeah, so I think he's being fairly harsh on himself. But back to the racing, we have some of our age group athletes heading out onto that bike. Like I said, 2 laps for those guys, exactly the same course as our elite athletes are doing, exactly the same climbing, exactly the same technicality, and those guys are in for a pretty big adventure today.
And it'll be an opportunity as well for XTERRA to start picking out some of the age groupers, realising that some of them may well have the potential of racing in pro starts for next year.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few hoops to jump through, but we use our World Performance Index ranking. So regardless, or wherever you perform in these races, you'll get a score for your event.
Yeah, so if you go to the rankings, XTERRA rankings, that's for everybody. then you'll find there's a number, and that number is a fairly complex calculation based upon the performances. And it's nice to see that there is an opportunity for a very good age group athlete to become a pro.
Yeah, you have to basically do a minimum of 2 races to qualify for a WPI score and a ranking. And if that number is high enough, the number seems to keep going up every year. But then you get to come and play with the big guys. You get to come play with the big boys. You know, and it's the same rankings for, you know, the same formula is used for every single race around the world. So whether you're racing in the EMEA region, the Asia Pacific region, or Americas, you can compare yourself directly with athletes from around the world. So you're going to spot Sam Gerling there, just coming into transition. So slightly biased, he's part of our race off-road crew. It looks like he's had a pretty good swim.
And that was Rhino Owen from South Africa. Very distinctive uniform there.
Yeah, and Galassi from Italia just coming out to start his bike leg as well. So we'll do our best to try and pick out as many age group athletes as we can. I know we're getting plenty of comments in the live stream, giving people some shout outs, which we'll go through. If you see your athlete on screen, give us a heads up.
Well, that was Marine Gauthier, who qualified at XTERRA France Nouvelle Aquitaine, wearing 339.
So yeah, so we just having a little look at our timing splits. None of our elite female athletes have made that bike split number 3 yet. So it looks like they have slowed down. No, it's not slowed down a little bit, but it looks like the second lap that climb they went up it so fast on that first lap, and I'm wondering if it's just the time splits are just going to grow a little bit on the second lap.
Well, we just had an update from behind the scenes that the fantastic coverage we had of the e-bike with the camera, we've had a bit of a problem because there's been a flat tyre. There are roots, there are stones, there are rocks, and it's unfortunately it's taken the e-bike out of circulation. So if he's able to just be in one position and do some still shots, then that will be good enough.
I believe there is a backup bike. The only issue is is getting from where the puncher is back to the backup bike. So if anyone is in the Molveno area, there's probably an e-bike in a bush somewhere with a flat tyre up for grabs. So yeah, so like I said, coming thick and fast now out onto this XTERRA World Championship bike course.
And into the sunshine as
well.
well.
So Team Volt, that's a French team. I'm not sure exactly on the number, but I know they have a handful of athletes racing in. They always put on a big show. Loads of athletes come and race XTERRA France, both in Zomrup and Nova Aquitaine. So nice to see those guys here at the World Championships.
Well, we've got athletes from all around Europe.
So 56 countries.
56, including French Polynesia, Namibia. We've got UAE.
Zimbabwe.
Yep. Aruba.
Colombia. Costa Rica. I've pretty much just put a pin on a map, and I think we have athletes racing from there.
I think it's wonderful. It just goes to show that the hosting of races around the world gives the opportunity to people from all over the world to get here. The route to Molveno, the road to Molveno. We talked about this quite a bit during the year, but it is a long journey.
So yeah, we can just having a look through the splits. The live timing is obviously available via XTERRA Planet, but it looks like Garcia Alfonso from Portugal is our fastest swimmer in our age group men's field today. 1936. Oof. That's rapid. That's crazy good. And I'm just having a little look through the rest of this to see if I can see anything else. And I mean, a big shout out to Claus Noah from France. Brive Limousin Triathlon. I probably butchered the pronunciation there, Paul. But in our 15 to 19 category, 4th overall in swim with a 1943. So as you were saying, you know, when we're having a look at these age group races and just seeing who might make that jump to that pro ranks, these young guys putting in these big performances, absolutely killing it. So let's have a little look through our age group women. So I'm obviously extremely proud here. We have Mia Padama from the Race Off-Road team. I'm very biased. That's a great swim from here from the United Kingdom. Current Scottish cross triathlon champion. Leads the out of the water in 22:44.
She also won a category at Western Park, didn't she?
Exactly, yeah. So she's qualified in the UK and she's made it across to race here in Italy. Like I said, interesting, our top 3 fastest swimmers in the women's race are all in that 15 to 19 category. So the youth is very much alive.
Explain to me, 15 to 19. Now this is what we would recognise as a standard distance race. These athletes aren't 15 years old, are they?
No. In Italy, you need to be 18 years old in order to take part in an Olympic distance or longer triathlon. It's a bit of an awkward rule, but you know, like for the sake of being in line with all of our categories, age group categories across the world, it is a 15 to 19 category. I mean, so I've met some 15-year-olds who are 6'4" with a beard and are extremely strong. But I've also, you know, met some 15-year-olds who are maybe not as well developed, maybe need a few more years before they are pushed to do, you know, what is a pretty difficult sport. So it's for me, Italy have kind of got that rule pretty much spot on, I think.
It's actually an international rule.
International.
Yeah, and it's all done by the science behind it, and it was felt that to allow anybody under the age of 18 to race what we referred to in the old days as Olympic, but nowadays as a standard distance, you have to be 18 to do that. Which is why you have that the sprint distance races we see on the television. That's for the juniors.
So yeah, I mean, I better not tell anybody I did an Ironman at 19.
Oh yeah, you can do that. You're over the age of 18.
That's fair game. So we've got some splits from our elite female. They've just gone through that halfway point.
And tell us, how close now is Alizé to the lead?
So it looks like Solène has pulled that gap back out. So the gap has gone out to 1:12. So like you said, we knew Alizé would shut that gap down and close some time to Solène on the descent. But looks like Solène has put her foot down and has pulled that gap out again. Diedrichs has moved back past Sandra Meyerhofer, back into 3rd place. Sandra dropping down into 4th. But those pair are some 2.5 minutes back from the front of the race.
How about Leslie Patterson? Where is she?
Leslie has moved up into 5th place. So as we expected, she's climbing exceptionally well, moving ahead of Marta Mendito in 6th.
If Leslie is
and Luan Duverson in 7th.
Okay, how far off the lead is Leslie at the moment?
In fact, as we're going through the splits, we have everything on our list.
I think 4 minutes is a big ask for the final 10K, but at the moment Leslie Patterson is looking as if she has a chance at the podium.
Okay, and I'm also hearing that Bradley Weiss is unfortunately out of the race.
He was not. He wasn't particularly happy with the weather conditions.
So
it was a bit of a shock to his system.
So cresting the top of the downhill, about to start the top of the downhill, we have Felix Frizier and Arthur Serrières are still riding together. We know Felix was pushing a gap on the last lap, so it'll be interesting to see if he can repeat that same performance and look to just take a few seconds advantage ahead of.
Just picked out one of our Argentinian athletes there, Maurizio, who qualified in XTERRA Argentina, wearing 119. But yeah, Arthur in the very same position there, right behind. No difference in the positions there.
Here we go. So yeah, so Felix dropping into that downhill just ahead of Arthur Serrières. So I think this is setting up a pretty tasty battle. As long as both of them get down to the bottom of this descent with no problems, no mechanicals, they are currently holding a 55-second lead over 3rd place athlete Ruben Ruzafa of Spain.
Now, the run pace of Felix and Arthur that's a different league to that of Ruben.
Ooh, that's a disservice. Ruben is still very quick.
He's good, but yeah, when you look at the two French guys, their pace together, I think they're pretty equally matched. Having said that, we would never have suggested that Jens Emil would have held the position he did on the short track against Arthur. But I think the two French guys, Felix, Arthur, they have an advantage going into the final 10K over Ruben that I don't think Ruben can match.
No, I think Ruben knows that he needs to start the bike as fast as he can. So this is Sullivan Midder. He has crested the top in 4th place. He's lost a little bit of time over Ruben. There we go, we can see the split. So 1:33 back from the lead. So Ruben is obviously pushing on hard. He does have a reputation to uphold. Off the bike first for the last 10 World Championships. And I hate to say it, I think that streak might come to an end today. Michele Bonacina having an amazing race today. Minute 45 back from the lead. We know, obviously we expect him to swim well. We've seen little hints of a breakthrough this season, but currently sitting in 5th place with just the downhill on this bike course to go is an absolutely amazing. So far, man of the match, it goes to Michele Bonacina.
Yeah, he's done better today than I thought he would do.
Jens Emil Sloth Nielsen is in 6th place, a minute 46, so he's riding with Michele Bonacina. I'd expect to see Jens Emil make a few seconds up, advance back up towards Sullivan Midder in 4th on this descent. In fact, we can see Sully just about to drop in. Lucas Kochar sits in 7th. Looks like he's paying for that early effort on the bike. With Theo Dupois sitting in 8th place. So after an amazing bike performance in the short track, Theo is backing it up with another good biking performance today to ride himself into the top 10. Sebastian Neath is in 9th place, 2:38 from the lead, so he's also having a good race and moving forwards.
It's good to see Sebastian Neff performing so well here, because as a multi-sport athlete, put him on a pair of skis, that guy is incredible. Winter triathlon, Sebastian Neff is one to watch. The technical team behind us are going to be working frantically when the first 3 men cross the finish line to try and calculate the positions in the rankings.
Yes, so we have a team with seemingly a supercomputer trying to just make sure that we have our results as soon as possible. So the points are extremely close, and I'm just being fed some information. So obviously, if Arthur Serrières, leader of the World Cup, wins today, he puts it to bed. He wraps it up. He becomes the champ. But the maths suggests that if Felix wins today, and as long as Arthur finishes second, then they will be tied on points.
So this is, in fact, you've got the World Championship, which is the race we're taking place now, but you've also got the World Cup Series. So there's like 2 crowns that can be won?
Yeah, you can become the champ.
Oof.
So here we go. Sullivan is, like I said again, absolutely storming on that. So coming back to that discussion, in the event of a tied athlete, in the event we have athletes tied on points at the end of the World Cup, we revert back to using the most recent result where the 2 athletes race together. So for this race, this is easy. So effectively, if Felix wins today and Arthur finishes second, even though they'll be tied on points, Felix will be awarded the overall World Cup win as a result of winning today. So for these 2 athletes at the front, it really is winner takes all, which is a pretty mouth-watering proposition for us to experience. So here we are, we're on the drone camera, we're just waiting for these athletes to come back towards the town of Molveno. Hopefully we'll get some more coverage of the ladies. I'm hearing that the e-bike that has the puncher was actually the one following the ladies race, which is a huge shame, but not much we can do about the mechanical. So Lucas Kochar rolling through the descent, chased by Theo Dupois, who looks to be moving very quickly. We know he's a really strong biker, he's got some great skills. He'll be wanting to put himself into a position as best as possible before heading into that run, with quite a few amazing athletes to hold off. So a little bit more of an update on our ladies race. Obviously we have had our first 5 athletes through that first split. We're looking back a little bit further down the list. Maeve Kennedy has come across in 8th place, 6 minutes and 21 seconds from the lead. Samantha Kingsford is currently in 10th place, 9 minutes and 10. Emma Ducroix, our early swim leader, is in 11th at 9:44. So yeah, and Susie Snyder is in 13th, some 10 minutes and 36 seconds back. So the pace at the front of this ladies' race is obviously on.
Susie Snyder. Susie Snyder. She's not one of the youngest athletes, but again, consistently performing. She was.
Don't call Susie old, Paul.
I didn't say she was old. I said she's not one of the youngest ones. Third place at the US Championships. That was in just recently with Leslie Patterson, Great Britain, taking the American Championship
so
title.
we have our leading male athletes coming into the town of Molveno, and like we predicted, there is a small gap, and it actually looks like we may have a third athlete. So Ruben may well have joined these two. It could also be the e-bike camera, remember. So we will wait until we get a few more close-on shots before we decide. But here we go, e-bike camera. So as predicted, Felix is leading us down, and this is Arthur Serriers just making his way through the chicane before dropping into the old cobbled streets of Molveno.
Which Conrad likes so much. And there we go. This is a wonderful... let's keep that image going. It would be wonderful if you could see the image from the e-bike. The overhead shots are
I'm not sure
great.
he can keep up. That's the problem. I don't think it's the images. I think poor old our e-bike camera is really struggling to hang with the pace of these athletes.
We've got permission to put the drones at about 50-60 meters, so there's been great work with the community to allow us to put drones up on top of the mountain. We've got, here we go. Up on top of the mountain, there's not so many restrictions. And as you can see, there's safety features on the side of the walls just to protect the athletes, because there is the risk of a little bit of mud and water on the ground, making it rather slippery. But Felix Verissier taking the advantage of that descent just to put himself a little bit further ahead of Arthur as they come into T2.
So this is looking pretty good for my prediction. I'm afraid I think you might be out of this, Paul.
I think at the moment, I'm sorry for Jens, but it doesn't look as if it's going to be his race today. But Arthur Serrier, I would not write Arthur off at the moment, because he has something to prove. Felix as well. He was very upset yesterday that his brother Arthur is not here, having lost out at the crash that took place in the Czech Republic. So in some respect, he would like to get this, but Arthur...
There you go.
No,
So these
he's
guys,
you
can see from the body language, these guys are 100% in control. Arthur's not worried about this little gap that's
Not
opened
at
up.
all.
You can see the body language. They're both very relaxed. They're both...
You can just see the camera on top of the helmet there. Is that Mikhail?
That is Mikhail. So he's following these guys all the way into transition. He's now off his e-bike and he's on a regular bike.
Yep. So in case you're wondering who Mikhail is there are two Mikhails in the Czech Republic for XTERRA.
They're both on camera duty.
Mikhail Senior, Mikhail Junior, and
So
these are the guys who originated the short
Felix
track.
is just making the final couple of turns. There we go. He's just cut inside. Looks like they have closed off that wooden berm. So here we go. So Ruben is dropping into this event arena. So he has definitely closed the gap on the front two, but I'm not sure. Like I said, Ruben's running speed is still, to us mere mortals, incredible. But like I said, I'm not sure he's going to be able to battle it out for one of the first or second places today. Don't want to tempt fate, but I think this may well be wrapped up now.
It will finish his season, though, in a very good position. I mean, he took that gamble of booking his flight to the States immediately after crashing the bike and ruining the wheel in Zittau. And it was the right thing to do, because he went out there and he took a second place at the race in Beaver Creek. That really boosted his points.
Yeah, he would. I mean, Ruben is pretty much the benchmark professional within our XTERRA. He knows the points, he knows the score, he knows how to manage his season. So as soon as I saw him with that broken wheel in Germany, he told me he was booking a flight ticket. So he knew what he needed to do. He knew how to stay competitive.
Okay, dismount line is there. Off he gets. Felix Verissier leading them in.
Here we go. So, yeah, so Felix, this is a pretty mouth-watering prospect to see these guys go head-to-head again. Like I said, we were treated to one hell of a show in Germany when they were in this similar position, and I'm expecting some pretty good fireworks right now. So again, neither of them look particularly stressed, neither of them look particularly hurried. Both of them know that this is not going to be decided in transition, so they just need to make sure that they don't incur a penalty, don't have any issues.
And immediately leaving transition, you've got to climb up over the bridge. Then there's that section that takes them along the edge of the lake, which is very compacted, fairly solid surface to run on. And it was there that we saw Arthur just powering away last year. Oof.
Yeah, this run course has a bit of everything and truly tests, you know, a fully well-rounded athlete. You can be fast on the flat, but really struggle on the steep, very, very technical sections. There's sections here where these guys will be running sub 3-minute kilometers off-road, right the way through to running 6-minute kilometers because it's so technical, so steep, and so difficult. So you really can't rely on just being a fast runner. You have to be a strong runner. You have to be technically gifted. You have to, you know, again, run with your head. You can't just run full speed, go hell for leather, because you will fall off, fall over, and hurt yourself.
There's one particular section of the run that there is a signal black spot in there, and we can't get the camera there, but the athletes have to pull themselves up on ropes. It's an incredibly difficult section. We saw some highlights that were shown in the post-production video for last year, and there are roots, rocks, and there's ropes up either side for the athletes to pull themselves up. Incredible.
Yeah, it's not just legs. It's not just legs you need for the runs in XTERRA. You need a full body experience, I think. And those woods are slick. You know, like I said, they have had a lot of rain yesterday. Fortunately, athletes stayed off the course just to protect not only the race course, but also the trails that are here.
Is there one section, though, where there's a little bit of a stream that's become a little bit more than just a stream?
Yeah, there's a little bit of water. Yeah, so there's a fire road section which has an amazing waterfall that goes from left to right as the athletes will approach it. And I've never seen it with any water in it before. And last night, after this rainstorm, it was waist deep. So Nico Lebrun, the professor, was out there at 4 AM this morning with his head torch, sending me a video with an update on the condition. And yeah, fortunately, the water level has gone down. They're still going to get wet feet, but it's nice and safe, and we can have a full run course. So we're getting some amazing shots of, like I said, Felix just on this first part of this lakeside track. There we go. So currently second in the World Cup, 402 points. As we said, this is all to play for today. These points almost mean nothing, and it's only about the win for not only the XTERRA World Championships, but also for the XTERRA World Cup.
So Felix Forestier, at the start of the show, he was explaining how it was a very difficult bike course out here, and how it's such a great area. But he then said that he's coming here, it's been a good season, and he's coming here in form. And we're seeing that at the moment. Here he's leading the race, but knowing that Arthur is not that far behind him. These guys, they've had a great relationship throughout the season. They've had a lot of fun together, and the emotions we've seen them share the various races, they really do support each other, don't they? But on a race like this, it's just full-out battle, isn't it?
Exactly. There are no gifts given. So just scrolling my way through some of these live stream comments on our Facebook and our YouTube channel. Like I said, somebody asking, how is Bradley Weiss? Like I said, we know he's had a little bit of a crash, but I have heard that he is okay. Nothing too serious, but if we hear anything else, we will let everybody know. Where is Beatrice Ferreira? I can give you a little bit of an update as of bike split 4. So Beatrice is currently having a great race in 14th place.
Oh, Beatrice, she had we had some communication in Namur at the European Championships. The family was a bit worried about where she was because they were following her on the track and suddenly everything stopped. It's because she too managed to smash her wheel. Yeah, great to see some crowds out there supporting the weather. If you could have seen what we had yesterday, and I took some images out of the window, and it just looked bleak. It rained all day. There was very low cloud cover, but look at it now. The sun has come out, and for the 750 plus athletes from all over the world coming here, they can breathe a sigh of relief because it's fantastic. There's warmth, there's sunshine, and there's a prospect of being on the top of the podium for one person from each age group. And the closing ceremony tonight, which will be held up in Andalo. Again, we sat down at the opening ceremony. The tables are big, and in the centre of the table was this fantastic selection of local meat, cheese, and all sorts of nibbly things. And then the buffet, my goodness.
I think I changed my body composition to be mostly meat and cheese.
Well, it was remarkable to see the amount of people who are absolutely ploughing through the desserts. There were a whole range of things.
Here we go.
And it was all part of the package.
Sorry to jump in here, Paul, but Felix is just about to jump down into this left-hand trail. So
is that when after that you have the climb?
An extremely technical and a very difficult narrow trail. So we do have a bit of a black spot of coverage going down there. We obviously don't want to put a camera in there.
Artio's not that far behind.
No, we saw the splits. You know, it's a handful of seconds.
If anything, I think the distance between the two has reduced after leaving T1.
Exactly. So our e-bike camera is going to stay here. Like I said, camera mounted on the helmet. So we're going to be waiting for the
it should be
remainder of the athletes to come through. But like I said, it will be Ruben Ruzafa coming through in third place.
And then possibly Michele or Sullivan.
So
Federico Spinazzi. Quite some time back. A nice, big, spacious transition area as well. That's something that has been adjusted for the athletes. Ruben Ruzafa, but behind him.
That's a Jens Emil.
That's Jens Emil.
So Jens Emil is, like I said, he's obviously made up a lot of time on that last descent of the bike.
Michele Bonacina.
He is obviously full of running as well. So the podium spot is up for grabs. Like I said, he's going to have to rely on a little bit of gamesmanship at the front of the race, I think, for the two Frenchmen to maybe look at each other and slow down again.
I wonder what
for him to come back into the race.
I wonder what the time slip was for Jens Emil's second lap on the bike.
I'm sure if you head to the live tracker pool, you'll see all of the results from today, including the individual bike splits for each discipline.
Because that's he was 1:46 off the lead. He's made up a lot of distance there.
So I'm hearing we should get some images from the top of the course for the women's race. Here we go.
Okay,
so as I predicted, so Solène Bouillon has crested the top of the climb. She looks full of right. You see, she's taking her hand off the bar. She's just having a gel, putting the rubber, putting the litter back in her pocket, making sure she doesn't, disrespect the environment we're lucky to be racing in. And she looks like she's going to go into that downhill with quite a substantial lead. It was 1 minute and 25 seconds at the split halfway up the climb. So we'll see what the split is back to Elise, who looks like to be in second position at that top of the climb.
Yeah, that's Francois V just starting the run.
So it'll be interesting to see the composition of the women's race at the top. So Deirdre Diedrichs had moved back in front of Sandra Meyerhofer halfway up of that climb, but that second half of that climb contains all of the technical climbing. So we move away from a fire road, and then so Sandra can look to use her skills, those mountain bike and marathon skills that she possesses, just to move back into that third position. So we've had a right old battle.
Yes, we have, but Diedrichs, her run power off a tough bike is something that it's a bit of a signature for her. Here
we go. This looks like second lady just making that right turn to come around it. I would expect this is Elise. You can see the orange on the tri-suit. Yep. So she is chasing hard. Like I said, she's exactly the same as before. She's taking a gel. She's just having a little rest and just getting set for this downhill. So I make the gap at around about 1 minute and 52 seconds. Hopefully we'll get the full split.
And a good position to take that energy at the top there, nice and flat, and ingest that. That all goes into the system on the downhill, ready for the run.
Exactly.
Now, the interesting bit is what's going to happen behind her. Will it be Sandra Meyerhofer? Will it be Dida Diedericks? Where is Marta Mendito? How far behind is she?
Yeah, so Marta was, like I said, on that fighting with Leslie Patterson and Luan Duvison for those the 4th, 5th and 6th spots. Sorry, 5th, 6th and 7th spots on the bike. So those three are, I mean, they're all amazing riders, and they will certainly fight to use their strengths. So Marta is obviously very, very good at climbing, but also very technically gifted on a mountain bike. Leslie, we know, is the most tenacious, one of the most tenacious competitors that we have, and will not give up. So when the race gets tough, and everyone else starts just getting tired, she'll be pushing. So Bilwan has just gone past the halfway part of this downhill. She's full of riding,
she's not holding back at all,
every opportunity. You could free wheel down this whole section, but she's choosing to really push. So this is Sandra. She looks like she's in third position. So 3 minutes and 21 seconds behind Bilwan. And we should also get a little shot of Deirdre Diedericks, who is just behind Sandra. So, like I predicted, Paul, Sandra has made up that time that she lost at the bottom of the climb through that technical section. Here we go. So, yeah, I think we've got race on in the women. So Solène looks to be in a pretty comfortable position to defend her World Championship title from last year. And it's the same two women she's having to fight as last year. So Sandra and Elise.
So Solène Bilwan at silver medal in Taiwan, gold in Czech Republic, bronze in Zittau. Yes, and defending champion coming here and looking absolutely regal.
Yeah, I mean, the confidence you take by being the defending champ into a race is a huge boost. There's probably no... here we go. This is Elise. So this is Elise coming down through the woods. Again, oh, wow.
She's...
Do you see how she cut that inside turn there? Absolutely taking taking the shortest possible route, not adding any extra distance
you see
to
in the
her
background
journey
there,
back to Molveno.
Yeah, the waterfall there, an indication of just how much rain we have had.
So
the
here we go.
mountains
So this
draining.
is Deirdre
Didi.
just having... Actually, no, this isn't Deirdre. So here we go. We're picking back up our men's race. So this is climbing up the very steepest part of the run course up towards the aid station.
And Arthur just behind him.
Felix, yeah, like I said, they're not running shoulder to shoulder like they were in Zittau. Felix has kept that little lead. Again, they don't look too far apart here, but this is a very, very slow part of the run course. So actually, that distance between the two of them is probably more than it looks on camera.
So when people look at the run time after this and say, well, it was a 10k race, but it took them however long, that however long incorporates a huge climb on a variety of surfaces, including a section where they're going to be pulling themselves up on roads. Okay, we've got a littering zone just starting there. There's an aid station which will provide them with necessary foods and refreshments. E-bike just behind Forissier there. 7-second lead over Arthur Serrier. 7 seconds, that's not really something to worry about for Arthur. He has, in fact, Arthur Serrier at the moment in a very good position. He can see just how far ahead Felix Forissier is, and he knows his strengths and weaknesses. He'll be looking at the shape of the body, and here we see that is Sandra Meyerhofer on the descent. So it's nice that we're mixing and matching between the men and the women. So the lead of 7 seconds for Felix, and Jens Emil right now on the shoulder of Ruben Rizafa.
So yeah, so Jens looks like he has suffered his way up to be back on the heels of Ruben Rizafa. He never looks comfortable running, but as we said yesterday, the best running style is the one that gets you to the finish line as fast as possible.
Yeah. So these descents, that must be quite punishing on the legs after the climbs.
Oh, I mean, they're punishing on the legs before the climbs. So running downhill is an art. For every time you land on your foot, you're effectively, there's some statistic, I think if you run at 4-minute kilometers downhill, it's like 8 times your body weight going through your muscles. And it can be absolutely brutal. So if you're tired and you're already at risk of cramping, you just are stuck at where you're running.
Sullivan Miller dropped a couple of positions there. Oh, this is the Ford?
Here we go, yeah, this is the second swim of the day. So the e-bike just struggling to get across there. But Felix looks like he is full of running. He looks like he's not struggling at all. That gap to Arthur looks like it's growing.
And this is Deirdre.
So this is Deirdre in 4th place on the descent. So she, like I said, she's still riding fast. She's still pedaling hard. I said she knows she needs to make up all of that time. So here we go. So we have Arthur Serriez. Well, look, this is a masterclass in downhill running.
Now, I think we've seen this during the course of the year with Arthur's ability to read the track. And I think it was Roger Serrano said he's got ankles like a little goat.
The strongest ankles in the whole world. He never rolls an ankle, he never loses the grip. If he has a little slip, he can just kind of go with it with the confidence that he can rescue it. I've never seen this man fall over when running. I was on the deck an awful lot, so there's a reason he is a world champion. There's a reason why he's currently leading the World Cup.
But how far are 7 seconds at the top of the climb?
Just see Felix in shot. So this fire road after that long descent for me is where the race it could be won. So
Earlier on we saw Sullivan who'd dropped back a little bit, but he then had Michele Bonacina in front of him, and if anything that was going to give him a slight advantage, knowing that he was still in contact with someone. But at the moment Felix with the camera just in front of him, and this is, I think, who's this? Okay, so Solène Billois now not very far from getting off the bike onto that section which we'll see featured again tomorrow in the short track. She'll be sweeping round to her left, sorry, to her right. Then there's a ride around the edge of the lake just behind our commentary position, and very soon she'll be coming into T2. So that's, I think that 7-second distance is possibly being extended a little bit by Felix.
yeah, I think Felix knows that he needs to go. Like if he ends up in a running battle side by side with Arthur, then the chances of him winning this World Championships goes down considerably. So we know that these guys run the same. So if Felix can pull out a 10-second gap on Arthur, and at the speeds that these guys run, to shut that gap down requires an incredible turn of pace. You know, you're talking, these guys will be running 255, 250 off the bike, which is incredible in its start, but also with this off-road technical elements. You know, this is not a flat car park, dual carriageway, city centre triathlon.
Not at all.
This is, you know, pushing these guys to their absolute limit. So, yeah, you know, if Felix is running 255 at this point, Arthur's going to have to run 250, 245 to shut the gap down now.
That looks like Keller Norland to the right-hand side.
Here we go, and that's Elise Patiers coming into transition. So Solène has probably already gone through and is already in that. Here we go. So Solène is coming to that second transition. So great work by our camera guys picking these women out. So yeah, so she will be, you know, full of confidence after that bike ride. She's got nice clear distance. She's got nobody around her, and she will be pretty excited for this run.
And also using some of the elite men to pull forwards.
Yeah, I mean, I think
it's a bit of a lure, isn't it?
I don't want to put these guys down, but I don't think they'll be offering these women that much assistance. I think these guys, you know, they are here, they're having their own World Championship race, but, you know, I think these guys are towards the back of the field. Our elite athletes, our elite women are significantly still faster, and I think they're still not getting any advantage from these guys.
So you can see them putting the race number on. The race number is only to be worn on the final section of the run. If we had them wearing them on the bike, we would not see anything because they'd be covered in mud.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of the more unique rules in XTERRA Triathlon is that because we have the bike plate on the mountain bike, we save the run bib until the run. So this is why it looks so clean, Paul.
And wearing number 1.
Yeah, I mean, right now she is number one. Heading onto that beach, she is leading the XTERRA World Championships 2023. And
how many people around the course will be shouting out the time splits to her? Has she got a coach?
Yeah, well, as we said earlier in our coverage, she is here with her whole family and an extended Danish family as well now. Oh, so Elise is into transition. Like I said, just taking time to make sure that she doesn't suffer a penalty for discarding equipment. I mean, that didn't look very deliberate, but better safe than sorry, right? If you notice, then you know, it's always better to tidy up your mess.
Yeah, I'd hope that no official would even consider giving a penalty for that. Just tidy it up and get it out of the way so that nobody falls over it. Sandra Meyerhofer looking in third place there. She can hear, as she comes into this area, she'll hear the shouts from Chun, the main announcer, and she'll know just how far behind she is. Elise now setting off onto the run. A shout there from the official, making sure she's got the number with her.
Exactly. So actually, Sandra looks like she's closed the gap to Elise quite significantly on that last descent. So either Elise is just having a slight low moment in her race, or she's just, like I said, she's realising maybe Solène is, you know, it got such a big lead that there's not much she can do about it, and she's just preparing herself for a tough run. But she looks, like I said, Elise looks great. She's coming out of that transition. You can tell the body language. She's carrying her arms really well. Like I said, I think, you know, she set out with every intent to try and chase Solène down.
So Elise already has 3 wins on the circuit with Taiwan.
So Deirdre Diedrichs just coming into transition over the jump. Fantastic bit of airtime from the Dutch athlete.
That's the short track section as well, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we include the big jumps for a little bit of fun, and even the age group athletes will have a chance to fly through the air and get some airtime and do some tricks towards the back end of their race.
Yeah, so Elise, gold in Taiwan, in Germany, and in Oak Mountain. Oak Mountain, was that? No, Taiwan was the first one on the circuit, wasn't it, this year? And then it was Oak Mountain.
Yeah, Taiwan, then Oak Mountain, Belgium, Czech, Germany, Beaver Creek, and all roads lead to Trentino. Yeah. So we go to Sandra into transition in 4th place. So this is maybe not, sorry, 3rd place.
Third place. Yeah.
So this is maybe not what we're used to seeing from Sandra. You know, she is so strong on the bike, so maybe she just has struggled a little bit with losing, you know, those few weeks of training when she was recuperating from those injuries. So yeah, so I think it's just, you know, it's so difficult when you have, you know, such a well-planned out season. Just kind of, you know, all the plans go up in the air when you have an accident or a crash like that, and you never know fully how you're going to respond. But you know, I think Sandra can be super proud of the fact she's got herself in a competitive position, in a competitive shape, and currently sits in 3rd place.
3rd place at the World Championships. That's nothing to be. That's nothing to be taken away.
No, I would.
In fact, if you'd spoken to her after the crash in the Czech Republic and said, "We think you're going to be on a podium position for Molveno," I don't think she would have believed you. Deirdre Diedrichs now off the bike into T2 in 4th place. This is going to be interesting to see how much time she can now take away from Sandra. I've not seen the two of them run against each other. Marta Mendito coming in 5th place now. A little bit of time still behind the between her and the dismount. But Deirdre Diedrichs and Sandra Meyerhofer. For Deirdre, coming here now and looking at where she is in the race, there's going to be an urgency on her part to get onto the podium. She's now going to use her run power, and she's got phenomenal off-bike run ability.
Yeah, and she knows, like I said, she knows that she has got that endurance base behind her as well. So she knows that she can, you know, compared to a half marathon at the end of her half distance.
Because she chose not to race Ameland, the Dutch
No,
XTERRA.
she went and did a 70.3 last week. So she is obviously in pretty good form, and I look forward to seeing where she ends up at the end of the day. So this is Luan just dropping back into the event arena. I said, a really strong, solid race from Luan today. She's been consistent all year, and so whilst we have the obviously fantastic images of our females race, and I love the fact that we are concentrating on our women and we're trying to give them as much coverage as we can. I can also tell you that the top 8 men have completed their first lap of the run, so we'll probably get some pretty good coverage. So
is it still 7 seconds?
The top
for
group
Arthur
of
and,
men are pretty much in the same part of the lap as the ladies. So Felix has pulled out an 11-second lead over Arthur Serrières. Jens Emil has moved into 3rd position, a minute and 30 back from the front of the race. Ruben is in 4th, minute 42. Sullivan Midar looks to be full of running in 5th place at 2:43, so I'd expect to see him slowly creep up towards Ruben. Bonacina still in 6th, Lucas Kochar 7th, Theo Dupois having the race of his life in 8th position.
Is that Michele Bonacina?
No,
Just
so the 2 Italians here.
No, it's Bonacina and Dida.
Oh, sorry,
no.
Deidre.
No, was that
I think
Sandra?
this is Sandra. Yeah. Sebastian Neath is in 9th place for the men. But we'll stay with coverage of our ladies' race as much as we can. As for me, this is the most exciting women's race we think we've ever seen. As we say that, we switch to Lucas. So back to Felix Frizier at the front of the men's race. So yeah, again, his body language, the position, how he's carrying himself looks no different to that first lap. He looks to be 100% in control right now. Yeah, it just looks great. So yeah, so I think, for me, I did call Felix as my favourite for the overall win today. But I mean, that was based on a whole season of fantastic races.
It's a good job we didn't have any money on the side.
Yeah, you're buying the cappuccinos.
No, not after midday. We get shot here. Although you did say you found one of the cafe here who they don't judge.
Yeah,
you can have a cappuccino any time of the day.
I think they took pity on me trying to order in my worst Italian. So here we go, some spectators already enjoying the event arena here. Got the beers on already. Oh, I can't wait for a beer a bit later on. But like I said, the event village here has attracted a lot of spectators, friends and family of all the people racing, but also the town of Molveno dropping down and experiencing the XTERRA World Championships.
Well, we've spoken to a lot of the age groupers who were here last year, and it seems that they've spoken to other people who are coming here. And the plans they've had is to use Europe, those athletes who are coming from Australia, New Zealand, Canada and the States, they're really using this opportunity as a family to go and explore again and to use the journey to Europe as a chance to see not just Molveno, not just the Dolomites, not just Italy, but also heading off north to Austria and Germany. It's great. This is such an easily accessible venue, and it's literally, if you go up the hill, you keep going up the hill, you go to the Brenner Pass and you're in Austria. And the atmosphere here, they've said the food is fantastic, the hotels are wonderful, the greetings they've had from the hoteliers and from the people in Molveno and Andolo, it's just been such a wonderful experience. And to have this as a location for the XTERRA World Championships, brave move, great move, and it's certainly paying off because the memories that people are taking home from here, well, look at it.
Exactly. So a few more updates. We have a few more ladies who have started their run. So as we talked about earlier, Marta Mendito is in 5th place, 7 minutes back from the front of the race. Luan Duverson, who we did see a small glimpse of on camera, she sits in 6th place, and Leslie Patterson is in 7th place. We know that she can run, so I'd expect she is 8 minutes and 4 seconds back. So Leslie will look to do what she can to try and catch Luan and Marta on
So how far behind is Leslie from Luan and Marta at the moment?
So we're looking around, so Leslie is a minute back from Marta and around about 19 seconds back from Luan Duverson. So definitely within striking range for the Scottish athlete, but this is a long day. This is a tough day out. So this looks to be our first age group athlete coming back to finish their first lap of the bike. So number 329, we can bring that up and we can see who is the one to come back. So that is Elliot Lebardet from France in the 20 to 24 category. So he's obviously having a fantastic race.
Yeah, qualified at XTERRA Aquitaine, where he won the race.
Well, there you go. So there you go. So I think this camera is looking to pick up our ladies at the first run split on the run. So we can see poor old Mikau, he's without e-bike now. He has to do it old school style. So yes, we still haven't had our elite females have not made that first split on the bike. So hopefully we'll get a great shot of them as they reach that aid station and the top of the run course. Here we go. This is that flat, fast section I was telling you about, Paul. So you can see athletes just in that bottom left-hand corner making their way through on the technical part.
Before they then come back down.
But this last section you can see here on the right-hand side with these logs, it's very flat, it's very fast, it's preceded by a very technical quad-busting downhill. So you go from trying to slow yourself down, trying not to fall over, having to have the strength, to then getting onto this section and having to run a 3-minute kilometre.
Yeah, if this is Felix in front, then Arthur has narrowed that gap down.
I don't think these guys are at this point of the section yet. So here we go. We are on our finish line. We can see the XTERRA Jester, Chun de Stockel there, hyping up that crowd into an absolute frenzy and anticipation.
Chun, who's just so happy to be speaking in either English, French, Flams, or even Mandarin. Not bad on the bike, a bit more courage. You were putting him through his paces last year in Zittau, showing him how to approach a jump. And he was so happy that he managed to jump, land, and not break anything.
To be honest with Chun, it's actually trying to slow him down. You know, the guy is he's got so much confidence, and I think he believes he can do backflips and tricks and things. So actually it's just getting him to stay on the ground and staying nice and safe. But anyway, so back to the action. I'm just trying to switch between the two splits to see
where we are on the men.
Where we are with the men and the women, because they will be in a similar position on the course. So this is Samantha Kinsford just coming in to transition, and maybe not the race she's hoped for today, but like I said, still giving it absolutely everything and not letting this race get away from us. So still in shout of a top 10 position. We know that she can run exceptionally well. Okay, so the men have not reached that run split 2 either, so we're going to have a little busy moment in a minute, Paul, when both the front of the men's race and the women's race hits that same time split. But we will see how we get on.
We have got some athletes here who are real legends when it comes to racing. There's
here we go. So we've got a clip. We've got Arthur just coming through in the foreground here. I believe he is still in second place, unless something outrageous has happened to Felix in that wooded section, but I would be very surprised if that guy throws this away now.
Yeah, we've got a chap called Steve.
No, I take it back. Arthur Serriez has moved into the lead of the XTERRA World Championships. He's pulled out, he has flipped that 11-second deficit into a 22-second lead pull.
And that would be on that section. I think we saw them earlier. Okay. Yep.
So I can only think that Felix has got himself into a little bit of bother in those woods. It's very unexpected to see that 30-second swing. Either he's got his nutrition wrong, he's had an accident, he's fallen over. I hope he's in good shape, but to hemorrhage that sort of time when Jens Emil is only a minute back, but a minute back in third place, I think all of a sudden this race has been flipped on its head.
And also, let's not say get away from Arthur.
Oh, he's cramping. Arthur's cramping. He's trying to run this out. No, he's going for a gel.
Gel.
There we go. He's trying to grab the gel that's tucked under his thing.
And that's good. Again, it's an indication to everyone else. If you're going to carry nutrition with you, carry it with you on the in your race uniform, and don't chuck it away afterwards. Tuck it into your uniform. Don't chuck it away. For XTERRA in particular, if you're seen littering, that's the greatest sin, isn't it?
You get shamed pretty heavily. No, so Arthur's a professional, like he'll take that. Here we go. So Solen Bouillon has reached that first split on that run. So just the top of the climb. She still looks in good shape. She's staring at the floor, which is never a good sign. You want to be looking where you're going. So she is, yeah, here we go. So she's at the aid station. She's grabbing some fluids. She's going to be managing her nutrition. At this point, this is her race to lose. So she needs to do everything she can to make sure that she's in good shape. Oh, we have a, maybe the camera has ended up in the river there. So here we go. So a drone shot, as we can expect Arthur to be back in town in around about 10 minutes. We should be able to call across the first of today's winners.
Going back to one of the age group athletes who's a bit of a legend is a guy called Steve Fisher. And
here we go. So Ruben Rizafa is just passing that time split too. So Ruben is currently in 3rd place. We just missed Jens Emil Sloth Nielsen, who still sits in 3rd. Time split, we're looking, Jens Emil is 2:17 back. So despite Felix's little wobble there, he looks like he still has enough of a cushion to hold on to that 2nd place.
So the difference between Ruben and Jens Emil?
So
Ruben's in 4th, yes?
Yeah, so Ruben and Jens Emil are only 8 seconds apart. So 3rd place on the XTERRA World Championship podium is still very much up for grabs. Based on form on running, we would probably suggest that Jens Emil would probably stay in that 3rd position, but Ruben's a fighter. You know, he's been in probably more races than Jens Emil, Felix and Arthur put together.
And he's not, he's giving them about 10 years, I think.
Exactly, so that experience does never go away. He's been in this he's been in this position before.
Alizé Patier's there, 2nd place at the moment, digging deep, but she's coming up now to the feed station. So she bears to the right, and there's Sullivan behind her. So Alizé goes through on the 1st occasion, Sullivan on his 2nd, but the Arthur Serrier is absolutely flying. Great image there of him. Again, it's the strength he has on the downhill. I wonder if that's where he took that lead.
I think it's on that technical section. Like I said, on the flat, fast running, these guys are pretty much matched stride for stride. So I think it will be on that technical section down by the lakeside. Well, it's number 77 here, getting a front row seat.
Pierre Simeon.
So number 77 is moving extremely well to be able to stay with Arthur Serrier. I know he's a lap behind, but
get in the camera.
It's quite nice to, sometimes it's quite nice for these new, athletes, these lower ranked athletes to experience what it's like to be at the front of the race. So, as I said, number 77 there, enjoying a very short, brief experience. Pierre Simon, like I said, learning what it's like to be at the front of the XTERRA World Championships and the speed that it takes to run. So yeah, like I said, in the back of the shot, we cannot see Felix now. So, I mean, what a surprise. I was not expecting that. As soon as I saw Felix with that gap, I thought, game over, this is done. But this is why XTERRA is, I'm obviously very biased, but XTERRA is one of the most unpredictable and exciting sports on the planet.
There's so many things that can go wrong. You can have the broken wheel, you can have the crash, all of these things. But for Arthur, it was an incredibly emotional moment for him last year. His mum was unable to come to visit or see the race because she was recovering from quite a bad condition she had. But she's going to be here this year, and to see her son, who's the defending world champion, now in a position that he's looking over his shoulder just to work out what he's got to do to hold on.
Yeah, I think he knows that he cannot ease up. He's looking, I mean, people look over the shoulder for one of two reasons. Either confidence, I've done it, I've done what I need to do to win this race, or I'm not feeling great. How much space do I have? Where is 2nd place?
I think these are images I can remember from last year. That flat section coming onto there, and the emotions began to build
Here we
up.
are.
Sandra
So
Meyerhofer in third place at the moment.
Yeah,
coming
so
up to the feed station.
she's lost a little bit of time. She's almost 5 minutes back from the front of the race now, but
Dida Diedrichs was just behind her. I think.
exactly. Dida Diedrichs has closed the gap, so she's only running around about 12, 13 seconds behind Sandra Meyerhofer. So the battle for that third place on the podium is not done in either of our men or women's races. It's still all to play for.
Right turn here.
But
for
we
Arthur.
have Arthur Serrières. He's making the right turn into the event village. We'll be expecting him onto that finishing carpet in around about 30 seconds or so.
Now, we saw this is the penalty box on the left. A few numbers up there already.
Yep, I've been reliably informed that we have no penalties for any of our top 10 athletes.
That's
So
good.
we have a good, clean race and everyone has behaved themselves. So here we go. So Arthur will be making that left-hand turn here. Up and over that metallic bridge that you can see next to the XTERRA flags. There we go. You can see the body language, his shoulders drops, he relaxes, he knows that this is now his race.
Goodness gracious.
So just a few more steps to go to then be directed onto the best finish line in XTERRA.
Because the view from the finish line up to the mountains is pretty impressive.
Yeah, there we go.
Arthur
So he's
Serrières.
celebrated into the finishing chute. So, ladies and gentlemen, your XTERRA 2023 World Champion is Arthur Serrières.
And a completely different set of emotions this year.
Yeah.
He's so supremely confident.
Yeah, an absolutely fantastic race from Arthur Serrières. There we go. There's his mum.
C'est maman alors.
So, and there we are. So
Felix.
Felix makes its way onto the finishing carpet. An absolutely fantastic race from Felix, and I think pushed Arthur all the way to the end there. I think, like I said, I think he'll be disappointed without the win, but can feel like that second place is well deserved and one of his best races ever.
And in a studio in France somewhere, Arthur Farissier is also delighted.
Exactly,
sure.
that's going to go down well on our French commentary team.
So France.
So we now await
What's
to
going to
see
be?
who is the third guy. But here we are, we're just picking up coverage of Solène Bourgoin. Like I said, making her way back down this steep cobbled descent onto the lakeside path. So she is almost finishing her first race. So, sorry, her first lap of her running race. And she's moving really well. Like I said again, she's moving past a lot of these back marker elites. She's probably on for a very good result overall today.
It's wonderful. We're in a position at the moment to see that the defending champions, defending world champions, Arthur has come back and taken the gold. Solène, at the moment, is looking
So
confident.
Marta Mendito here is just coming past our first split on the bike. So, sorry, first split on that run lap. So she's still in 5th place. She's managing to defend that. So here we go. So Jens Emil Flost Nielsen climbs over the metallic bridge. And like I said, he's already celebrating that excellent 3rd place. I know the Dane would have loved to have backed up his short track win this weekend, but I think whilst he still unlocks that swim puzzle, here we go. So the high fives start already. So whilst he still unlocks that swim puzzle, I think he can be super pleased with this position today. So here we go. He's going to collect the Danish flag, I'm sure.
First time I saw him race was here at the European Championships, and there was promise.
Amazing.
The work he's put in, his swimming is improving. This guy has got a World Championship title coming his way in the next 5 years, I'm certain.
Yeah, he's super stoked with that 3rd place. Like I said, Jens is a guy who is not afraid to show emotion, whether the race goes well or the race goes badly, and he's over the moon with that. Now, another fantastic performance by Ruben Muzaffar. Like I said, the guy will not die. He keeps coming back year on year. In the Art of XTERRA last night, he promised to come back and race another year. So I think he can again be really excited about that 4th place.
I think the stats are going to show that the rankings haven't changed an awful lot.
No, so Solène
Solène.
Bourgoin there, she makes that right turn, goes over the wooden bridge, to start her second lap. So we're just going to bring up the split, and hopefully we can catch our breath a little bit, Paul, and we can give you some updates on the age group race.
And also the team down at the finish area will be hopefully getting in a position to interview 1, 2 and 3. In fact, they're going to do 3, 2, 1, hopefully.
Well, we'll take it as it comes, Pauls, and like I said, a finish line of XTERRA World Championships is an absolute hive of activity. So best of luck for our roving reporter in the field to go and try and peel these guys away for a few minutes to calm. But I'm sure they'll get it done, and I'm sure we'll hear them as and when it happens. So here we go. So Solène, like I said, she looks full of running. The body language is nice and relaxed. The stride length is good. You know, she looks fantastic as she heads out for another 5 kilometers. And here we go. So
Really
Elise has crossed the timing map at the end of lap 1.
How far behind is she?
She is currently sitting at 1 minute and 58 seconds back. So she's not gaining any time. She's not losing any time. She's still in a position where, you know, like I said, anything can happen. We've just seen it in the men's race.
It's the next couple of clicks on that timing mat is going to be interesting, because it's going to show either Sandra Meyerhofer.
Here we go. We've got Elise on screen. Here we go. Just about to make that right turn and head out for the first lap. Second lap. So here we go. Gel in each hand, making sure to stay fueled. Like I said, it's only 5 kilometers. And I wonder what we're going through her head at the moment. You know, how she's keeping herself motivated, how she's keeping herself going forwards, and
I think XTERRA have done extremely well this year by putting the short track on Thursday, having the main race here Saturday, and then for the age groupers putting the short track relay option available on Sunday. It works better, I think.
Okay, we're here with Jens Emil, who came in after a crazy race, coming in hot in 3rd place. Tell us what happened out there.
I can't even remember. That was a awesome day, tough day. Yeah, got out of the water okay, had a good sensation, didn't push too much. Probably should have pushed a bit more, but I was on some good feet and I controlled it, but I got out with quite a gap to the front, which I kind of kept on the bike. On the first lap I really pushed, which I paid for on the second lap, so I was not that good on the second lap, but I still caught some people, but Ruben got away from me, and luckily I could catch him on the last downhill. I guess we both pushed it, and then 30 seconds on the run, I was optimistic to go grab his heels and do the hunt. Yeah.
So this is a big weekend for you, closing out the World Cup. How you feel about your whole performance over the course of the season?
I'm just thrilled. I love racing. That's all I gotta say. And especially in front of my family here, it means a lot that they were here, and it means a lot that I can give them this. This hardware, these 2 good, a gold medal and a bronze, it's big for me, and it's definitely a career high.
Now in your native language, can you just go through the race a little bit?
Ja, men svømning, der kom jeg lidt bagud fra fronten, og så begyndte jeg at arbejde på cyklen. Havde et rigtig godt første loop. Det var lidt mere glat derude, end jeg havde troet. Jeg ved ikke, hvad man skulle forvente, men det var lidt mere råt. Og så på anden omgang, der betalte jeg lidt for virkelig at have presset den på første omgang. Ja, og så på løbet, der var jeg sammen med en stor gruppe, og jeg havde Ruben 30 sekunder foran mig. Jeg plejer at kunne løbe hurtigere end ham, så jeg var ret optimistisk med at kunne fange ham. Men de 2 forreste franskmænd, Arthur og Felix, de var... Ja, jeg tror, jeg holdt et godt... mit split op til dem, det holdt jeg ret godt. Og så på anden omgang, der satte de tempoet op, og så koncentrerede jeg mig bare om Ruben. Så 3. plads, det er super fedt.
All right, Jens, congrats on an amazing season.
Thanks. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate. That was a great comment. We're going back to the women's race. We've just seen the splits. And in 3rd place, we've now got Dida Diedericks, has edged ahead of Sandra Meyerhofer and has a lead of about 10, 12, 13 seconds. So she's currently 4 minutes off the pace, off the lead, but this is a great performance from Dida Diedericks from the Netherlands.
Yeah, I think our first 2 positions in our ladies' race are pretty fixed as of right now, but I think I'd still would not write off Sandra Meyerhofer. You know, she is an incredibly gutsy athlete. She knows exactly what she's doing. She has more experience than Deirdre over this off-road discipline. And like we said, we saw in the men's race, the huge swing. We suddenly thought Felix had it wrapped up, and then all of a sudden, Arthur takes the win. So anything can happen in this crazy sport. Anything can and anything will. So yeah, so we will continue to bring you some splits from that ladies' race, and also as our top 10 elite men finish. But we can have a little look at how the age group field is getting on as well. So we are getting some splits from the bike split 3, which is the top of the climb. Halfway up the climb on the age group second lap. And French athlete Baptiste Fordocel from cross team Velos currently leads the way, but he is neck and neck with Nicolas Durer also from France, both in the 20 to 24 category, so very competitive.
Like Kerry-Ann Upham on the screen at the moment.
Yes, so Kerry-Ann Upham is on
just
her
about to be
first lap, just about to get overtaken by Solène. So again, this will be another amazing opportunity for Kerry-Ann to run for a few steps at least with the leader of the XTERRA World Championships and really get an idea of just what it takes to be at the front of one of these things. So Kerry is, like I said, having an amazing race in her first year of XTERRA Elite Racing. She's been a student of the sport for a long time, so I think she'll really relish this opportunity to race against the best girls in the world.
Was it you going for the wild card to race in the short track?
Okay, so it sounds like we are going to hear from Felix Furcier down at the finish line.
Okay, we're here with Felix Furcier. That was an incredible race. Can you tell us what happened on the track?
Yeah, it was really a great race for me. The swim was really fast, and after I think on the bike I push a little bit too hard because I make all the bike on the front, and yeah, I think it was a little too hard for the run after, and I try to push hard on the first on the first lap of the run, and so after Serrière come back from me at the start of the second loop, and yeah, it was too strong for me on the run, and yeah, on the climb he puts me, I think, 30 seconds and maybe more, I don't know, but yeah, it was too strong for me today, and yeah, that's it. But I'm really happy to finish second and to close my season like this.
Obviously, you and Arthur are friends, not just competitors. So it must be quite fun to go against him like this in such an intense competition.
Yeah, it was really intense, and yeah, I'm so happy to be on the front with Arthur, because yeah, it's a good friend, and yeah, it's pretty good to fight with him. Yeah.
All right, now in French, can you just tell us about the course, the race?
La course était super dure, mais vraiment incroyable. La natation était très rapide pour moi. J'étais pas sûr de sortir avec le bon groupe. J'avais du mal à me repérer, mais au final, quand je sors de l'eau, bah, je me retrouve quand même dans le bon coup avec Bradley Weiss, je crois, juste devant Arthur. Voilà. Le vélo était vraiment dur. Je pense que j'en ai peut-être un petit peu trop mis, parce qu'au final j'ai fait tout le vélo devant, et je pense que j'en ai mis un peu trop. Je me suis un peu trop fatigué sur le vélo, ouais. Après, j'ai quand même essayé de faire un bon premier tour à pied pour essayer de mettre un petit peu d'écart avec Arthur, pour essayer de lui mettre un petit peu le doute, mais je ne suis pas arrivé. Il était vraiment très fort, et sur le deuxième tour à pied, il m'a rattrapé. Quand il m'a rattrapé, c'était trop rapide pour moi, et voilà. Mais je suis super content de finir deuxième et c'était vraiment une course incroyable et super content de partager le podium avec Arthur. C'était vraiment une super bataille et ouais, j'espère que ça se reproduira et qu'à l'avenir ce sera l'inverse.
All right, Felix, thank you so much. Hell of a season, hell of a race. Good job.
Thank you so much.
Okay, just to recap on that, Felix was saying that it was a super hard race today.
Anyway, sorry, Paul, I'm just going to jump in here. So we have Elise Patiez of France just chasing hard. Like I said, I think there's been a little bit more of a time gap here. But Elise still looks good. She's still running, but
the gap between Elise and
Digitex, we'll find out that updated gap at that second run split.
So Felix saying how he worked super hard and incredibly fast swim. He had to fight really hard to get up to the front end of that. He was quite close to Bradley. He thinks he was just slightly ahead of Arthur. Out on the bike, it was very hard. He put too much in on the first lap, a bit too tired afterwards. Out onto the run, felt okay, but Arthur was too strong, far too strong and a lot too fast. But I'm happy to share the podium with him, and perhaps in the future the positions might change. I think we're now ready to go down to hear from Arthur Serrier.
Okay, Arthur Serrier, not only defending your world championship today, but you just won the XTERRA World Cup. You got to tell us how you feel.
Yeah, I feel amazing. You know, this title was quite harder to have because last year it was another game. I have a more than 2 minutes lead on the finish line and I can manage my pace. Here Felix was so strong and during the bike he pushed me just to stay on his wheel, and on the run he did a pretty fast first lap, and I think he overspeed a bit because he was on the lead on a World Championship, and I have a bit more experiences than this young guy, but I'm pretty happy about the battle and the title, and I'm so happy to take the win here, defend my title, and in front of my mother who had a cancer last year, and it was less emotional, but for me it's count at least the same than last year.
I remember last year that was a big deal, so it must feel absolutely incredible to have your mom here to watch you win for the second time.
Yeah, sure. I asked my mother to come right here because I say to her, it's not all the year I can be able to take the world title, and you know, it's like a big accomplishment, so right now I'm pretty happy, and yeah, that's really nice, and I'm looking forward to party this night because I think I definitely deserve it after a long season, and yeah, we'll see.
You absolutely deserved it. Can you tell us in French about the race?
Ouais, c'était dur. On va pas en dire plus, c'était très dur. Voilà, mais je suis très content de gagner ici. Thank you.
All right, thanks Arthur. Great season, great race.
Well, that was pretty easy. He asked about the race. It was hard. It was really hard. And I'm really happy to have won it. Simple.
Yeah, well, I think, like last year, we saw an absolute outpouring of emotion on the finish line from Serrier, and it felt like it was relief after, you know, like obviously a fantastic season with all the pressure, everyone expecting him to win it easily, and you know, and then obviously some personal circumstances making it even more special.
Well, he mentioned it there very briefly about his mother having cancer treatment last year.
But it feels like this year he can fully enjoy that finish line. He came across and can be extremely proud. So here we are, confirmation of Arthur Serrier from France, winner of the 2023 XTERRA World Championships. And of course, with that win and the points that come with it, he also we're still waiting for official confirmation, but I believe he also wins the XTERRA World Cup, becoming the champ.
And there's quite a bit of prize money involved.
Here we go. So we have our top 10 athletes. So Arthur Serrier wins in 2 hours, 38 minutes and 54 seconds. Felix Frussier in second, Jens Mill in third, Ruben with an excellent fourth, Sullivan Midar with a breakthrough result in 5th place, Lucas Kochar 6th, Kaylee Bonacina 7th, Theo Deprat 8th, Sebastian Neath in 9th, and Jules Dumas in 10th. So yeah, it's a fantastic day of racing from our men's field.
Arthur did mention about celebrating tonight. Dida Diederik's now out on the run course. Let's see how much of a lead, because there's a timing map coming up very shortly.
So yeah, Deirdre's just got to make that left turn there to go into the technical part.
And that's Sandra in the back. No,
no, that's one of the back markers of our elite men. So whilst we have a little bit of a gap in the excitement, I said I promised I'd bring you a little bit updates from the. Oh no, we do have Sandra. So Sandra's still running well. She's still in striking distance of Deirdre Diedrichs.
About the same time, about 11 seconds.
It doesn't look to be any different. So, like I said, at one slip or trip or fall in this technical section down by the lakeside, and Sandra will be right on Deirdre. So some updates from the women's age group field. Mia Padama still continues to lead at the end of the first lap of the bike, but the South African Linda Dettering has pulled the gap to be completely level, with just 1 second separating the pair at the front. And then Romain Cizeron from France is in third position, just 19 seconds behind. It looks to be a very, very tight competitive race at the front of our age group women's race. And of course, if you head to XTERRA Planet, you can pick up the live timing link and follow your favourite athletes.
Well, that's Linda Dettering from Germany. She qualified at XTERRA France.
Here we are. So we have the final official confirmation of the XTERRA World Cup. So Arthur Serrières, with the win today, wins the XTERRA World Cup. Felix Furcier in second place. Jens Emil Sloth Nielsen rounds out the podium of the XTERRA World Cup. Ruben Ruzafa in fourth position. Lucius Kochar in fifth. Michele Bonacina in sixth. Kieran McPherson didn't feature today, but has done enough throughout the season to finish seventh. Sebastian Carabanth in ninth. Sullivan Midar in 10th.
Just coming to the screen now, Marta Mendito currently in
Marta
fourth.
will be in fifth
place.
Fifth place. So Solène Bilwan has gone through that second split. So the top of the climb, still in the lead. We'll be waiting for the second placed athlete to go through so we can get you an accurate time split, but she has crested the tallest part or the highest part of that XTERRA bike course.
And we just see some clouds. Yeah, that image you had there, just behind us, we see some clouds now creeping down over the very higher sections. The way that the wind has now changed slightly, and we're hoping that everything holds off.
Here we are. So this is Elise making her way to that run split. So she looks like she's working hard, so she still looks in control. She's still running well, still using the arms to help her travel up this steep climb. This is hideous, this steep climb, Paul. These guys are making it look so easy, but I was on my hands and knees crawling up here.
Well, it's funny. I like to walk the short course because I like to have an idea of what it's like for the athletes to ride it. And the short courses are absolutely killing. And then you look at the run course here. There's no way I could even get up it. Loane Duvoisin, there she is. Our figures show that she's in 6th or 7th place, I think. But has she edged ahead of, or has she kept off the attack from Leslie Patterson?
Yes, like I said, I can check the run splits in a minute, but so Elise has gone through that second time split behind Solène at 2 minutes and 9 seconds.
So she's dropped about 15.
Losing a handful of seconds, so like I said, this is Solène's race to lose at this point, and looks like we're en route to having a double repeat world champions.
Has that ever happened before in the...
Well, now you're testing me.
Going way back, I'm sure it was, but
yes, I'm
in the last 10 years, I don't think
probably
so.
Need to ask Conrad for that one, I think. So I can go. So at the end of run lap 1, Leslie Patterson was indeed sandwiched between Marta Mendito and Luan Dauvisson. So Leslie is moving her way forward. They're all pretty close together within a minute, those 5. So there's still a good battle to be had for those positions 5, 6 and 7. But obviously as we get to that run split, we'll be able to give you hopefully some coverage. So we picked Solène up. She's made the technical descent and she's now back on this fast, flat fire road where she will be looking to put this race to bed.
And is that a smile creeping across her face there?
A smile or a grimace. At this point, like, you know, you have 1 kilometre to run. You are in a world of pain. You know that you need to do exactly what she's giving somebody a thumbs up on the side of the track, so I'm assuming that means she's having a pretty, you know, she's still working hard, still a grimace, but I think she knows she's got this in the bag now.
Well, that position she's on the run course, she can certainly hear Chun and the sound from the village coming up to her. So she knows how close she is. She knows that that title is going to be in her hands very, very soon. I wonder if she knows what position Jens Emil came in. I'm sure there's been communication out on the track to her. Yep, she's beginning to get that smile.
So yeah, so
that looks like Zach behind her with the media camera.
Yeah, you go. So a little look over the shoulder. She sees a massive gap. The nice thing about this section of road is that you can see the entire duration. So she's going to turn around. She knows she's got that couple of minutes lead, and she can start to really enjoy the last 500, 600 meters in this race. So getting some updates for, here we are, so some updates from our run split point at the top of the course. So this is Sandra Meyer-Hofer on screen. She's still running in 4th place. She looks like she's lost around about a minute to Deirdre Dugerson. So Sandra's having quite a tough day, but she will be. Yeah, so Sandra there, she'll be having quite a tough day and losing that time to Deirdre. So, you know, but she's a tough cookie. She will see this race out to the bitter end and make sure that she gives this Italian crowd something to cheer for.
Well, she finished in 4th place in the Czech Republic after having that spectacular crash. So, tough cookie, that's an understatement.
Yeah.
So, Solène, the glasses are up. She's on the flat now. She'll be turning right pretty soon. That will then bring her down right into the heart of the XTERRA village, which has grown over the last few days, and it's full of activity, and within a couple of days it will be gone. Look at that.
There we go. So she's just giving the
Celebrate.
camera a bit of thumbs up. This is nice. This is possibly one of the best feelings an athlete can ever have, when you know that you've got things in the bag. Here we go. So just coming past Mira Doring.
Yeah, Arthur said that the emotions were different this year, and that was important. Last year there was so much intensity of emotion, and I think for Solène as well, she will now be able to enjoy the celebrations a lot more than she did last year, because it was just so overwhelming. She was in tears crossing the finish line. Now the tears will be of joy, because she's got everything going for her. Everything's worked. She's had a great season. Start of the season, not perhaps what she wanted, but it's all come together, and her timing has been perfect.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in karma. You know, like I said, good things happen to great athletes, and you put yourself in a position where you know that you can contend for the win. And you know, some days you have bad luck, some days you have good luck, but you know what they say about luck is you get luckier the fitter you get. So
how's this going to affect the rankings though? Because you've got Elise came into the event.
Here we go, we're getting a time split there. So Elise, who was just on screen, is 2 minutes and 9 seconds behind Solène. So yeah, like I said, unless something absolutely from outer space happens, Solène can really enjoy this last couple of 100 meters. She makes this right turn back into the event village. And yeah, like you said, Paul, I think last year it was a question of relief, and a release of emotion as she crossed that finish line. Now it looks like she's really enjoying herself. So quick check at the penalty board, no problems whatsoever for her.
Good.
Like I said, she heads into this finish line with around about 20-30 seconds to go until she can be to retain her XTERRA World Championship title.
And for the elite tonight, or the pros, that they can celebrate without knowing in the full knowledge that they haven't got to do the short track tomorrow.
Exactly, they can. I'm hoping some of them will still make it down, but we'll.
Well, that's cruel to put this climb right at the end of it.
They'd be easy. It'd be called Iron Man if it was easy.
And we didn't have any imaginary white lines anywhere,
It's
did
funny
we?
that, there's no white lines in the forest. So here we go. So one last bridge to go up and over, and then Solène can enjoy that finish line.
That's
there we
it.
go. So
Hands
stopping to acknowledge the crowd and support they've given her throughout, not only today, but also throughout the rest of the season.
That's the family and friends there. And I know there'll be one person on the finish line waiting for her. Where is he?
Here we go. So Solène Bilwan of France heads down the finishing chute to retain her title, go back to back as the 2023 XTERRA World Champion. Number 1 on the number, number 1 on the day.
There she goes.
It's an absolutely fantastic, stellar race from Solène.
With a new race uniform designed by her.
Yeah, well, you know, you've got to look smart on the biggest day of the year. So there we go. So Solène, she will go, there we go. She's finding the family in the crowd. She'll go and share this one with her loved one. So just tracking the shot of Elise now, we've just picked up. So Elise will make this turn. Second position is safe. I don't think she has anything to worry about looking over her shoulder.
Yes, these points are going to be quite interesting.
So there we go, just picking up some splits from that halfway point on the run lap, and Leslie Patterson has indeed overtaken Marta Mendito and moved into 5th place.
Thought so.
So we knew Leslie would be making her way forwards, so a great race from her. She's got 2 minutes to catch up on Sandra, not impossible, but I think Sandra is safe in that 4th place.
So Elise Battier is that thigh crunching climb up over the metal bridge, down the other side, and then another little bit of a rise. Over she goes. Oh. Yep.
Yeah.
No need to run now. You know exactly where you are.
That's the sign of a pretty tough day out. I know Elise had based her entire season around this race, and she will be a little bit disappointed not to be on the top step, but she can be extremely proud of an amazing race today. Like I said, doing all of her friends, all of her family, all of her teammates proud. Big heart on the finish time. Everyone has a lot of love for you, Elise, and congratulations on a fantastic 2nd place at the XTERRA World Championships. There we go, a healthy amount of respect between these athletes.
France and France. Something about France that seems to be able to really push off-road racing like this.
Yeah, well, I mean,
it's not because the federation pushes it. It's because the athletes are pushing it. This is driven by the athletes, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, France absolutely adores cross triathlon, and it shows right the way from the.
Well, you got the legacy of Nicolas Brent.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, Nico has done his fair share for cross triathlon in France, but you know, like I said, the athletes go absolutely mad for it. So here we've got Luan coming up to that timing point. I believe she has dropped back into.
We should be grabbing some fluids.
Luan is in 7th place at the moment, so she's lost a little bit of time on Marta Mendito. So she, again, I think she'll be maybe a little bit disappointed with today. Luan is an absolutely incredible athlete, and on her day can challenge anybody for the win. So, like I said, one day, one race, and sometimes it doesn't go to plan. But she can still be proud of toughing it out.
The next opportunity for an XTERRA race is in Sardinia, which is an absolutely beautiful location. Not a short race either, is it?
No, and it's just an age group race. So these elite athletes will be putting their feet up and enjoying a bit of time off now at the end of this season.
When will we announce the dates for the 2024 World Cup? Is that something that's still being worked on?
No, so we are working ahead to obviously get everything in the diary and start planning for 2024. So as soon as we have that information, it will all be on xterraplanet.com.
So that's what you need to do. You need to keep focusing on xterraplanet.com.
So you are. So a little replay of our 2023 XTERRA World Champion. So then absolutely ecstatic on the finish line and deserves every single clap of that.
I'm number
applause.
1, she says. I'm number 1.
Yeah, no doubt about that today.
And in third, in 3rd place there, it's Diedericks from the Netherlands. What a great performance from her.
Yeah, she will, this is amazing third place for her. I don't think many people, with the exception of you, Paul, had her down for something special today.
I thought she was going to get the podium.
And there you go. So she's made the podium. Like I said, a relative newcomer when it comes to off-road triathlon, and I think she has announced herself as a serious contender for pretty much any XTERRA race in the future.
Well, she was the middle distance duathlon champion in Europe last year. That was a 10:60:10.
So
So that's where she has that power off the bike.
It's an amazing race by Deirdre to complete our top 3 women. So Maeve Kennedy has just crossed that split point halfway around that second run lap, so she sits in 8th place.
Here we have Sandra Meyerhofer now crossing the grass. The crowds will be giving her tremendous support. She'll be coming home, we think, in 4th place, yes.
Yeah, so you can, like I said, Sandra will be, like I said, with her incredibly high standards, and we know how well she can race. She'll probably be, wanting a little bit more from today. But
I think seeing her here in 4th place after that crash,
again,
this is good.
Rewind the clock 6 weeks ago, she might not have even thought she'd be at the XTERRA World Championship. So an amazing race by Sandra. She can certainly be proud of this one, and she's certainly done the Italian crowd justice this afternoon.
And all of her school children will be saying that here's Miss crossing the finish line again. She's a teacher and she's from this region.
Here we go. She fired some friends and family on the finish line, and congratulations, Sandra. Amazing job.
And this is Sandra Meyerhofer, who's also several times world champion winter triathlete.
Yeah, a really, really uniquely talented and universal athlete. She's like a Swiss Army knife almost, or an Italian Army knife maybe, but no, she could be super proud of her race today. There we go. Just getting some congratulated at the end. This is like we were saying earlier, Paul, where from the start line to the finish line, this is one of the most competitive environments going, but before and after, it's there's a hell of a lot of healthy respect between these athletes. And
Leslie Patterson making her way now in 5th place. Look at this. Not the fastest in the water, but a solid performance from her on the bike, and then absolutely incredible run split. I'd like to see the stats later, just to see what her run split was.
Yeah, so I think Leslie will be super proud of this. Like again, Leslie is an absolute legend in our sport, and just like Conrad Stoltz, has paved the way for a lot of these new athletes who are now coming through to end up on the podium. So
it's good that XTERRA got such a lot of publicity on the back of what she did with the screenplay for All Quiet on the Western Front. She was interviewed around the world. The real heavy news agencies were interviewing her about what she'd done, and part of it was XTERRA Racing to fund that screenplay. Exactly. Marta Mendito now coming across in 6th place.
Yeah, those two have had some battle today. Look at this. And I think this is, we've got, Marta's known as the kid in XTERRA. Leslie, she's a veteran of the sport. So to have athletes of, at either ends of their career, absolutely duking it out, and then, like I said, sharing that special moment on the finish line is pretty cool. And yeah, I mean, this is just what I love so much about the sport. There's so much drama, so much excitement, but also so much love.
A three-time world champion congratulating a 2-time world champion.
Exactly. I think Leslie knows that perhaps, her talents and her skills maybe lie outside of the top 3 these days, but like I said, she paved the way for these women to be professional athletes, to have good prize money, have good sponsorship, raise awareness of the sport, and yeah, I guess we can just, all of these girls will give a big thank you to Leslie Patterson.
Loane Duvoisin moving now into 7th place on the finish line. Having finished her studies last year, fully qualified physiotherapist, she can now focus a lot more on the racing. up that final wooden bridge down the other side, and she will then be entering the finish. So that's our top 7 women. Very soon we'll be moving down to the finish line, I'm sure, for the post-race interviews. There she is, 7th place there to Loin Duvoisin from Switzerland.
There we go, the Swiss athlete. Okay, so it sounds like we are ready to go down to the finish line to Ryan and Deidre Diedrichs.
Okay, we have coming in 3rd place, Deidre Diedrichs. Tell us about the race.
Oh, well, I managed to keep up with Solène for the steeper parts, but then on the downhill parts and the technical parts, I needed to, I lost the wheel. And I fell a couple of times in the mud because it's so slippery. I don't have like the best tires, I guess. I have all-rounders. So I was back in the 4th place, and with the run I needed to fight and push until the end. So I'm very tired right now. That's why I needed a moment.
That's totally understandable. It's the world champs. You cruised into 3rd place. You really impressed a lot of people who didn't expect you to come in 3rd. How does it feel?
Yeah, it feels amazing, of course, especially because I fell down a couple of times after the swim because it's so slippery. 4 times on the bike, 1 time on the run. So yeah, I don't know. I'm amazed myself, and I'm very happy to be here.
We're all super happy for you too. Can you give us an explanation in your native language? Just tell us how the race went.
Ja, nou ja, uiteindelijk ging het dus heel goed. Ik moest het wiel lossen op in de eerste ronde al op de modderige paden waar het heel glad was. Ik ben een paar keer gevallen ook, zowel na het zwemmen als bij het lopen als bij het fietsen. Maar ik heb met het lopen weer goed gemaakt. Ik ben heel blij dat ik toch de 3e plek op het podium heb gehaald. Ja.
Thank you so much. Great race.
Thank you, thank you.
So, Dida, uitstekend. Uitstekend. She said that the race was really went well. It was a really tough run. She managed to slip on both coming out the swim, out on the bike, and on the run.
It sounds like she spent more time lying on the ground than on her feet.
So I think she said she's very, very happy to be on the podium. For Ruud de Haan, uitstekend.
So yeah, amazing race by Deirdre. And
let's hear from Elise.
Yeah, let's head down to Elise.
Okay, we have coming in 2nd place, Elise. Tell us how the race went.
I tried to manage my race. I did a swim medium, not too bad, but not in a good shape. And then on the bike, I did wrong things about the tires. Maybe on the back, I put an aspen. I don't know if it was a good idea, but I lose some time on the bike. But anyway, Solène was strong today. It was hard to fight on the bike. And after I tried to run fast as possible. But yeah, I'm happy. I'm finished 2nd and I'm still leader of the World Cup. So yeah, it's nice.
That's right. I mean, maybe this wasn't the finish you wanted today, but you just won the inaugural XTERRA World Cup. That must be an amazing feeling.
Yeah. During the bike, I just thinking about the World Cup leader. I say, just be focused on your pace. Don't worry, you were consistent all the year. So just enjoy and finish your race as you can.
Amazing job today. Amazing season the whole way through. Can you tell us about the race in French?
C'était une course un peu spéciale, mais j'ai pris beaucoup de plaisir. C'était vraiment cool de batailler dans la boue une seconde fois. Et je suis contente de mon année et je remercie vraiment tous mes sponsors et Alexandra et Massamba de m'accompagner dans les entraînements. Grâce à eux, on peut dire que maintenant je suis au top.
All right, thank you so much. Amazing season.
Okay, for her, she said it's been a super race, really cool, good for having a battle in the mud, happy for all of the sponsors that she's had, and also for Alexandra for the support. Doug, there was something she said there about the tyres. I didn't understand that. Can you explain what that was about?
Yeah, very very quickly. So she sounds like she was running an Aspen on the back, which is a very fast, low-profile speed tyre. So, you know, it makes the speed she was going down that downhill and the way she's able to, you know, control her bike down there even more incredible. The fact she was doing it with almost a semi-slick tyre. So taking a risk to try and find some speed. This is the World Championships. You have to throw everything at this race. So it sounds like we are ready to go down to our 2023 XTERRA World Champion Solène Bilwan.
Oh, okay. Okay, so then we have the defending two-time world champ. Obviously, that just took so much out of you. How does it feel to be able to defend your title here in Molveno?
It's crazy. I mean, also because this season has been so long and so intense with the World Cup, and I'm just so happy I could build my shape through the season, and I think today I won because I wasn't scared to be in front, and yeah, I think I won the race on the climb, but I also almost lose it on the downhill because Alizé was catching a lot of time every loop. But I was confident, and it's what makes the difference today.
You had an up and down season, but this must be the absolute cherry on the top to finish it off like this.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's often that I'm good at the start of the season, and then it's a bit harder during the summer, and then I'm back at the end of the season. It's often like this, so I also had a lot of changes during the season. I have a new coach, I had a new bike and stuff. So I needed a bit of time to find a good line.
So how does this sound? Solène Bilwan, 2 times XTERRA World Champ.
I don't think I realized yet. I'm just very tired, but just so happy. So happy about, yeah. And my family and friends are here, and so it's amazing to win in front of them.
Amazing job. Can you tell us about the race in French?
Ouais, c'est un deuxième titre, je pense que je m'y attendais pas. J'ai travaillé pour, mais j'ai eu beaucoup de changements pendant la saison, de vélo, de coach, etc. Et j'ai su garder la confiance. Et aujourd'hui, je pense que je gagne parce que justement, j'avais cette confiance et j'avais pas peur d'être à l'avant. Et c'est ça ce qui a fait la différence.
Amazing job. Good job.
Thank you.
Killed it.
Okay, she was saying that she worked really hard for this race, and there's been many changes during the course of the year with the bike and the coach. It feels good, and it looks good. And the idea that it hasn't quite sunk in yet, 2 times world champion, that's going to be something to wake up tomorrow morning and think, yes, it's all worked.
Yeah, immediately after your legs have stopped hurting, then it'll sink in. No, I think Solène could be like absolutely delighted with today. Like you said, she didn't have the perfect start to the year. Like I said, a disappointing time in Oak Mountain, but what a way to turn around your season. And there we are, full confirmation that Solène Bilwan is your 2023 XTERRA World Champion. So
top 8. Top
8 in. We're still waiting for the last couple of our top 10 to join. We have Solène Bilwan wins in 3 hours, 6 minutes and 12 seconds. Elisa Patiez in second, Deirdre Didrex in third. Sandra Meyerhofer in 4th, Leslie Patterson in 5th, Marta Mendito in 6th, Luann Duvison 7th, in 8th Maeve Kennedy, 9 Anna Zendra from Switzerland, and we will bring you the final athlete to make it into the top 10 when they cross that finish line.
In the meantime, the technical guys have been absolutely frantically working their way through the stats to pull out the rankings.
So we are on to champagne ceremony time. So we'll over to Chen.
From France, called the Babyface Assassin. Please welcome at the second place, Mr. Félix Mauricier.
So an amazing race from Felix. Like I said, a little bit of a wobble on that second lap, but I think he can be proud.
And genuine sadness yesterday at the press conference that his brother's not here.
He'll be back.
Oh, yes.
Please welcome our back-to-back XTERRA World Champion from France, le cannibal, Arthur Serrière.
So So there we go, defending his title from last year. Arthur Series doubles up as the two-time XTERRA World Champion. Well, a fantastic race from all of these three. In confirmation of our top three podium, Arthur Series wins, followed by Felix Fursier, and third place to Jens Emil Sloth Nielsen. So, yeah, a fantastic race from these guys, and we'll be expecting the women's ceremony coming up shortly. There you go, some lucky fan going home with a bouquet of flowers. Here we go, this is what they've been waiting for. So there is a fourth discipline in XTERRA, and that is the champagne spray. That looks like Felix has taken the title with that one. Fastest to the line, slowest to the champagne.
Well, this is the start of something that's going to carry on for the rest of the day, I think. The drinking between Arthur, who certainly, if there'd been awards for it last year, would have won.
I don't know what you're talking about, Paul. XTERRA athletes almost certainly don't have any fun after the races.
Come on, let's face it, the after parties for XTERRA are the best after parties on the circuit. There's nothing like them. You go to...
don't tell it, everybody.
Sorry. Yeah, so that's another thing. If you want to come to the XTERRA races, okay, let's be honest. Which of the after parties can you remember least?
No, it's which one you remember best. I mean, the after party here in Molveno is exceptional. You know, the closing ceremony and then straight into one of the best Italian nightclubs I've ever been into. And yeah, I think there's those three guys plus the rest of our elite field are going to very much enjoy themselves tonight.
Of the age groupers racing today, we have approximately 100 plus of them who will be racing the relays tomorrow, which leaves another 650 to party.
Sounds like we are getting underway with our women's podium ceremony. So Deirdre Drix, a fantastic third place today, and all smiles on that podium position.
Second place, ladies and gentlemen, representing France, 3 hours, 8 minutes and 11 seconds,
Yeah, great race from Elise today. She can be super happy with that. And yeah, a well-deserved second step on the podium.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the queen, the winner of XTERRA World Championship 2023, representing France, 3 hours, 6 minutes and 13 seconds.
So your 2023 XTERRA World Champion is Solène Bouin. A fantastic race by the French woman to defend her title from last year. Takes the top step of the podium.
That's your time differences.
So yeah, a difficult race. And yeah, all three of these women can be super proud of themselves. Here we go, champagne time. Everyone takes a big step to get out of the way.
Is it champagne or is it Prosecco?
I'm not sure of the brand.
Well,
I know it's fizzy and it sprays everywhere.
And it certainly tastes good. Oh.
Yeah, I can imagine after 3 hours racing you really want to drink, but maybe champagne is not the best hydration strategy, but like I said, it's good to see the girls having some fun. So even Chun enjoying a little bit of champagne at the finish line there.
That last, look at that, an overhead view of what Molveno has to offer you. There are so many hotels, so many guest houses, so many restaurants, so many bars, so many cafes. Of course, gelateria. You come to Italy, the ice creams are amazing.
Yeah.
But you've also got within this the bike community. Behind us, and the hills rising, the tracks,
There we go. So
Fantastic.
Solène, surrounded by her support crew on the finish line of one of the biggest races of her career. She will not forget this for a long time. So there we go. So just to, I think we should probably have some updates to the top 10. We'll wait for the...
in top 10 position
yeah,
now.
we'll
We have Elena Karaskova-Erbanova.
We'll wait for the official confirmation of our top 10 on screen. And we'll also await the confirmation of how the XTERRA World Cup has shaped up. So, and I can tell you, Paul, that there are some changes.
Ooh!
So,
wow. Because the points for this race are a little bit heavier, aren't they?
Exactly, so there was a few extra points available, weighted in favour of such a competitive race. So yeah, we'll have to wait for the official scoreboard to be able to find out if Solène Bourbon has done enough to become a champ, or if Elise Patiez or Loane Duvesson stay at top of the rankings.
All of this here is the build for the XTERRA Village, and when that, Monday, this will all be gone. In fact, I think tomorrow afternoon they start the deconstruction, but by Monday, this will be back to its beautiful green glory.
I mean, we'll maybe give them a couple of days to start breaking it down.
No, they were quick last year. We got tomorrow. We got the relays, but we also got the children's races. We got the XTERRA kids races.
Exactly. Tomorrow morning we have kids races for all ages. It's not a World Championships. It's a very inclusive race tomorrow, and regardless of how fast you are welcome to come and take part in the kids races. And then yes, we have our mixed team relay, a short track event for the age group athletes. So we got final confirmation of our top 10 finishers at the finish line. So that's a mouthful. Start again. We have confirmation of our top 10 athletes at the finish line. So Solène Bourbon wins the XTERRA World Championships 2023. Lise Patiez in second, Deidre Dudzik third, Sandra Meyerhofer fourth, Leslie Patterson fifth. 6th place for Marta Mendito, 7th for Loane Duvesson, 8th for Maeve Kennedy, 9th for Anna Zeder, and 10th for Helena Karaskova-Erbanova.
Who won XTERRA Czech 5 times on the trot, I think it was. Yeah. And also a former European winter triathlon champion.
Much like Leslie Patterson, Helena's raced for a long time and has seen the sport change and seen all these new young athletes come through, but still a great race for her to finish up in 10th position.
Now, the next graphic that comes up is the one that I'm interested in, because that will be all the World Cup rankings. And you say there's going to be some changes, so let's just see what happens next. In the meantime, enjoy these beautiful views. Yes, that is still the view we have. The sun is still shining. So for the age groupers who are out on the course, and we do have a cut-off at about, I think it's 5:45 tonight.
Yeah, I think with the nice weather we have and the course being in pretty good condition, the cut-off hopefully shouldn't affect too many athletes, and everyone can make this finishing line by 6 p.m. this evening.
And that's something that the course design has taken into consideration, because the way that the rain drains away, it's better this year than it was last year. There's not so much mud and awful bits. There's still challenging sections, but here we go.
Here we are. We have confirmation of our XTERRA World Cup. So Elise Patiez has done enough for second place here at the World Championships to win the inaugural 2023 XTERRA World Cup with 564 points. Solène, with the points haul she takes from today, moves into second position, bumping Loane down into third. So that is our top 3 positions in the XTERRA World Championships. So,
but you can see from that as well, consistent racing from Susie Snyder and Sam Kingsford has put them into the top 10 as well. But Carina Varsel at the bottom there, in number 9, again, one of the long
another great
racing
season for Carina. So, yeah, fantastic racing from all of our ladies across the entire World Cup season. But for now, Paul, let's check out some of the highlights from the 2023 XTERRA World Championships.
And that's going to be a goodbye from you and from me.